Well, good afternoon and welcome to, it's going to be a huge afternoon here at Blackwells Park. We have the 2017 baseball grand final here in Newcastle. And yes, it's Belmont up against Toronto. And joining me in commentary this afternoon is Shane Barclay. Shane, it's really nice to have you with us this afternoon, and we're certainly in for a huge game, aren't we?
Yeah, it should be a very, very good game, I think. On paper, you'd probably have to fancy Toronto at this stage, but if Belmont can hang with them for 7 or 8 innings, I think it'll be a very good climax. Now,
just for our viewers, Shane, for those who are not au fait with baseball, you know, the fact of the matter is that it's a grand final. You only get one more chance. There's no tomorrows, and I mean, this is just going to be a huge game, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. Toronto have traditionally been a very strong and a strong club, but they are yet to win a first-grade premiership, so they're looking for their first. And Belmont, of course, looking for their 10th in a row, and this is their 27th grand final in 27 years.
All right, so we're just about ready to go. So the excitement is certainly building here, and this is going to be the first pitch of the day.
Just a bit outside. 4-1. Leading off Jace Poole for Belmont.
And I guess, you know, for the batters themselves, a lot of concentration, you know, making sure that they really concentrate hard with where the ball's coming.
Yeah, certainly. And the young fella batting, Jace Poole's had 4 years in college in Hawaii, and here comes the pitch. Strike one, so 2 balls, 1. Yeah, Jace has been to Iowa for a couple of years and then to Hawaii and come back here and playing. Had a very good game last week. The young McAdam pitching's a very fine pitcher.
Now, we noticed a little bit of wind around today. Does that have any effect at all, the windy conditions at all?
Yeah, with Toronto's left-handed hitters, it's probably going to help them a little, but it'll also hurt the curveballs of the pitchers, and we should bring them back into the game a little bit as well. Ball 4, so a good start for Belmont with a lead-off on.
And that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, you know, someone like Belmont need to get off to a good start here, as you said. Toronto haven't won a title yet, so I mean, they'll be very, very keen to try and get their very first today.
Yeah, I think that's right. You know, they'll be both nervous sides. In the 80s, Belmont won 8 in a row. They've now eclipsed that with 9, so looking for 10 grand finals in a row is pretty special. So they'll be, and it's Adam Blight's last game. Whereas Toronto have come so close on so many occasions, they'd be looking forward to their first, but a bit nervous.
Of course, on the plate now we have Mark Dries. I know Mark's through cricket, yeah, so he certainly has great hand-eye coordination. So this will be interesting to see how this goes.
Yeah, very talented human being. Picks up a golf stick and plays off one. Picks up a cricket bat. One of the laziest trainers in the world in any sport. So you've got to be to do as well as he's done, putting as little into it as he does. I think he's run a marathon tomorrow. I think he's run the Sydney Marathon as well. So can do anything.
Yeah, I mean, there's just people around there, just sports people that are out there that can do just about anything, and certainly he's one of them. And I mean, he'll be looking forward to you know, a very big day today as well, I would imagine. And you know, he's got his chance here to make certainly a very big impression.
Yeah, certainly been a performer in this stage before. Ball 4, so nervous start from McAdam. Smider having a little bit of a yak to umpire Mark Gilmore and just checking that the pitch was a little bit high, I'd say.
Yeah, as a pitcher, you know, what are some of the things that you need to kind of do? What are some of the things that you need to focus on when you're pitching? And I guess, you know, when it comes down to you know, the end result, I mean, obviously you'll be trying to get as many strikes as you can, huh?
Yeah, that's the case. If you can get in front of the count and a strike early, naturally you can get a little bit finer in your pitching and look for edges a little bit more. Get a little, as you can see, that pitch was pretty fat and could have been hit, but after 2 walks, Tom decided to let it go. But if you're in front of the thing, you tend to get batters panicking and swinging at worse pitches.
And how important is the variation to sort of vary it around a little bit each pitch? I guess I suppose in regards to the batsmen to try and keep them guessing. I suppose you could say.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of pitches have got good variety. So we've got a balk there. A good pitch. That was a curveball come down from McAdam that just missed, but he did not come to a stop. He had to come to a complete rest with runners on, and he quick pitched then. So that rewards both Belmont runners an extra base, and the pitch doesn't count. And a good slider there to strike out O'Gorman.
I mean, there's plenty of excitement around here today too. I mean, the weather is pretty good. A little bit of a breeze around. I mean, it's actually dropped a bit since we started play. So the crowd here are certainly going to be in for a huge game, aren't they?
Yeah, there's a lot of anticipation from both clubs and the association. Toronto have just worked so hard at this, and even the media, you could and their Facebook, you could see how much hitting they've been doing for the last few weeks and working hard at it against the experience of Belmont. Pitch inside, hit by pitch ball for Chris Hook. 50-50 result, I think, for Belmont there. I think they would have liked to see Chris swinging and trying to produce a run, because he's been one of their crucial hitters. But a very experienced Greg Allen up to the plate, who also played a lot of college and ball in the States as a much younger man. I think he's the grandfather of the team here.
How much rivalry is there between these two teams? They certainly, I guess, would have a past, would they?
Certainly have a past. I'd like to think that everything's left on the field, but in saying that, in the 70s, Toronto were an absolute rabble and struggled. Really tried hard, but didn't have much structure. And during the early 80s and 80s, they built and done a sensational job, and haven't quite got there yet. But today could be their day. Whereas Belmont in the 70s invested in some Sydney coaches and went for strength to strength. So there'll be a lot of old Toronto people here with long memories today, I'm sure. It's looking like a reasonably big pitch here. Opportunity, might see a slider here or something, try and get a ground ball and a double play to get him out of trouble here. Away.
Just feels tense, doesn't it, for the start of the game, doesn't it, really?
It is. The first innings always where you can make and break a grand final. And that brings it to an interesting count. Full count. So this is the happening pitch. Something's going to happen. Something's going to happen here. We've got loaded bases. Ball four base hit is the old saying. And fouled away. So yeah, big pitch coming up. Big out, or big time at bat here for Greg Allen.
Yeah. So as the batter, what are you thinking right now? What do you think you should be doing?
You're certainly looking for a strike. If you're hoping for a ball, you're dreaming. So you're hoping for a thing, and you're probably looking for his best pitch. Guessing what his best pitch? A fastball maybe, which is what he got there. So you're on that, but it was a good pitch, and it was to low to the outside edge of the plate. So gave McAdam a good chance too. So he threw a good pitch, and it was a good foul.
How important is the defence in the game of baseball? I mean, I would imagine it'd be extremely important.
Yeah, certainly is, and great pitch there. A really good slider down, got him swinging, so good result. Yeah, certainly, and sometimes you've got to sacrifice a little bit of defence for your offence, and certainly I think in most teams would favour Belmont's defence slightly over Toronto's is more steady, but certainly the Toronto hitting lineup is what everyone else is in awe of in the comp. Adam Blight up in his last grand final. Interestingly for Adam, Adam's been with Belmont for a lot of years. Today's his last game, and he's played in all 9 winning grand finals. The only player for Belmont out there who's done that, and a very good shortstop in his day. Played Claxton Shield for New South Wales. Been a very good competitor.
And obviously, being his last game, I mean, he wants to certainly make it count today and go out a winner. You always, look back on the memories of grand finals, and I'm sure today that'll be the same with him as well.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. As I said, he's pitched for New South Wales. He's played shortstop for New South Wales, and one of the hardest and toughest competitors.
What sort of practice do the players put in for those people who are watching the telecast here this afternoon? How many hours a week, or how often would they train?
Well, naturally, as usual with a pretty amateur sport, I think you find the younger players put a lot more in than the older players. A lot of the older blokes rely more on experience and going week from week. Now, that's a long ball. It might be caught. It's not going to be. 3 runs coming in here for Belmont without a doubt, and a stand-up triple for Adam Blight in his last grand final.
Yeah, outstanding, wasn't it?
Oh my! It's 4 runs to Belmont. So the TV would have had a little bit of trouble catching that, but a wild throw from the outfield went straight through the gate into the Toronto dugout, which means it's an extra base automatically awarded. So very, very damaging wild throw that, as it was if it would have been a triple, but the ball went through that little gap there.
Yes.
Where the players walk out of, and that results in another run. So 4-0 Belmont. Yeah,
well, I guess Toronto now just got to regroup now and try and put that behind them and just concentrate on the next pitch.
Certainly, and another interesting player, focused mainly on the hitters at the moment. Another interesting player, Eddie Figueroa up here, who played. He was a former American, born, I think, possibly born in Puerto Rico. His father, the most winningest pitcher, I think, ever in the major leagues for Puerto Rico. Eddie himself played for the Milwaukee minor league system, and didn't quite go as well as his father, but his father won 2 or 3 World Series rings in the 70s in the Reggie Jackson era for the New York Yankees.
Also, one thing I have noticed just with the 2 teams, it's good to see a mix of older players with the younger players too. I mean, at the end of the day, every sport you need the younger players coming through, don't you?
Yeah, you certainly do, and there's some fine, Belmont is a little bit bereft of the younger guys. Just got to flog it in second grade, but in here you got the young kid behind the plate here, Smider, who is a sensational young catcher, and I'd like to see him improve his hitting at a good level. Hoping today might be the day, but he's got a bit of work to do on his swing to achieve it at the high level. But he is a very, very good. Oh, I think Figueroa just got hit then, and the umpires missed it. I think I'm sure I heard 2 sounds there going through. So that's pretty ordinary call there by Gilmore. Doesn't usually miss those sort. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't got the vision, but it looked like.
Yeah, and as we know, of course, officiating in any sport these days is quite tough. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on the umpires too, isn't there? So, and it's a grand final, so you've got to get the calls right, haven't you?
Well, you have, but in fairness, this bloke here has been doing it for a fair few years now, and a real inspiration. He's umpired at Australian Championships. He's always been a very, very dedicated umpire. Never ever played the game at all, at any level. So to do as well as he has done as an umpire without ever playing the game, it's a real credit to him.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? Because you would think that most of the umpires would probably have some sort of experience playing the game, but to have an umpire that actually hasn't played, I mean, that's just incredible.
Yeah, it has. His people management is very good, which is to do with anything is good. This ball, it's dropped and it's gone through. Campbell's missed that, and a single made into a double. The young fellow also probably getting on in age. Campbell out there at centrefield is, in my opinion, probably the supreme player in Newcastle. He's a real gamer. He played Claxton Shield or National League this year. Should have been rewarded with it years ago, in my opinion. Great base runner, great hitter, good pitcher, can do everything on a baseball field. A real fantastic football player. And the third out turns him away, but four good runs for Belmont.
Yeah, they'd be happy with that start. I mean, if you can get that sort of start in the grand final, then now it puts the pressure on Toronto, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. A lot will depend on the pitching here too. Tim Cox, a guy who played AA in with Atlanta, so a very high level, a very gifted player. I had him. He threw 47 innings in a Claxton Shield over about 8 games once when I was managing, without giving up a run, which is one of the, I think it's almost a record in Claxton Shield history. But he's getting on, and watching his last 2 innings last week, I've got a feeling age has caught up. He looked a little sore, so I'm guessing he's not going to be. He's going to be relying a lot on smarts instead of velocity today as he tries to mix it with these talented Toronto lineup.
Now, if you've just tuned in this afternoon, we're at the 2017 Newcastle Baseball Grand Final here at Blackwell's Park, and it's Toronto up against Belmont. This is Pete Davis. I'm being joined by Shane Barclay. And Shane, what is the mentality now for the Toronto team? What do they need to do to try and peg back these 4 runs?
Well, the first thing you're thinking is you make Belmont get every out. It's 1/9 of a game. You've got 9 innings here to get it back. So first thought would be hopefully to get 1 run back here, and just churn it out 1 run at a time. And if you get 1 run, you can turn into 2 or 3. But just getting runners on puts the pressure on Belmont.
Yeah, because I kind of get the impression, baseball's that sort of sport, isn't it? Just because you're a little bit behind, it doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. I mean, you can certainly catch it up, can't you?
Momentum changes. 1 error turns a team, gets a team from in the doldrums or a hitter or an error can change from the doldrums to ecstasy in about 5 minutes. A good start by Cox, but again, I think he's a little down on sharpness, but not a bad pitch to start the game. And that's a great pitch by Cox. And as I said, this Campbell is one of the supreme players. Just went with the pitch and drove it into left field. Smart baseball as well.
So, getting back to the pitches, I guess this young fellow, would he be feeling a bit nervous, in this big game, or he's probably just used to it?
I guess you're always nervous, but he's probably pitched in over 100 games in the States in professionals baseball in front of large crowds, so he'd be pretty used to it. That's another great hit. So a good hit. Moko Monaroa, probably one of the most talented hitters we've produced in Newcastle, and as you can see by that swing, I remember seeing the boy as a 14-year-old, and I saw him take 1 swing, and I think I said to Peter Ewish, this kid's going to be one of the best hitters we've seen, and it's turned out that way. It's just a perfect swing.
Yeah, and it's good to see some young talent coming through the ranks here in Newcastle for baseball, and it all, I guess, goes well for the future, for future years down the track, and it'll certainly make the competition a lot hotter as well.
Yeah, I mean, both teams rely a little bit on some Central Coast influence. The boy batting now, Pat Mard, has also played professional ball. He's from the Central Coast and a very, very good hitter with a lot of power. Played for New South Wales, played professional baseball, but a lot of power. He can hit a ball a long way, this kid, if he gets his pitch. Belmont looking for a ground ball here, I'd say, and nearly got it.
Your job as the outfielder, what are you thinking right now when you're in the outfield? I mean, you obviously the concentration has to be there. You've got to be waiting for something to come your way.
Yeah, you certainly got to be switched on for every pitch. You're looking for the bat head to see whether if you're studying it hard enough, you might get a read whether it's going to be to your left or your right if it comes straight off the bat. The ones who are really looking here is the infield, and the pitcher's trying to get a low pitch here, because anything that's on the ground here could result in a double play, and it takes away a lot of momentum. So that's what you're looking for right now. And he didn't get it. That's a great piece of the ball. 1 run scores. Okay, runners at second and third, none out. So they've got the perfect reply they wanted.
And I noticed at the start of the coverage you were saying that this Toronto team are a good hitting team. They've got some really good hitters in their team.
Well, yeah, if you've experienced it already, and up the bat now, Boss Mo Moko's brother, who also played professional baseball, as did Moko with the Boston Red Sox organisation, and was very highly rated boss, and a bit surprised to see he got cut as early as he did. And Toronto suffered a couple of years, well, you're happy to suffer if you've got players playing the big games, but Belmont suffer now that the two Wells boys, Lachlan and Alexander, are playing professionally in the States, and they would have certainly made a difference to Belmont today. And a few years ago, both the Monaroas were playing overseas when they would have certainly made a difference when Toronto went close a few years ago.
Must be a wonderful experience for the players from Australia to go overseas and experience what it's like over there. And I would imagine, some of the competition over there would be fairly hot, wouldn't it?
Oh, certainly, and going up the grades and that, and getting used to, here they play once a week. They play some red ball and that, but they'd be lucky to play 50 games a year, really. He didn't quite get that. Cook's caught it. This will be interesting at home. How good's his arm? It's going to be a close play, and he's safe at home. So the second run scores on a good fly ball by Boss Bonaroa. But yeah, I think that one of the biggest things about professional baseball is getting used to playing baseball every day. If you're a field player, a position player, not a pitcher, you're playing up to 150 games a year in the minor leagues and 162 if you're in the major leagues. So that's a lot of baseball. And some people like Cal Ripken played 15 years, 2,600 games or something without missing a day. Very inspirational. That's a long ball too. Jace Poole's not going to catch that. That's going to be the third run score, and it'll be a stand-up triple here, I would think. Yep, stand-up triple there for Kurt Eden. Kurt, I'm sure that's Kurt, another Central Coast boy. And one of those kids who probably wasn't born with as much talent as some others, but has been a very, very hard worker in his game, and been rewarded in making himself into a very good representative player by just purely working hard.
One thing that I certainly have been impressed with is just Toronto, the way they hit the ball. They're just clean hitters, aren't they? Yes. I mean, it's just amazing. The batters that have been in already, they've just really smoked the ball. It's just been incredible. Yeah,
it certainly has been. And young Kurt, that was a very impressive piece of the ball. The breeze coming up a little bit again, and they're hitting good pitches too. Coxie's keeping the ball pretty low here. It's 2 out, and the scores are tied, is it? I think 4 all.
So is it's 4 all?
Yeah, it is.
So there you go. I mean,
so we're back to 0 all at the bottom of the first. The perfect response. And it was a very good bit of batting by Dylan McMaster-Small. Never been recognised as a great hitter, but a very smart ball player. You know, a ground ball to second base means you're starting the ball game all over again. Then could see the Belmont pivots very deep and a runner on third, so a little ground ball gets the job done. This might fall into, no, it's not going to, so that's side away for Toronto.
Well, I think Toronto would be pretty happy with that. I mean, you know, 1 minute you're behind 4, the next minute you actually level it up. So I really get the impression, Shane. I mean, I think this is going to be a game that's probably going to go down to the wire. It's just going to be a really exciting grand final, isn't it?
Well, you'd think so. And on last year, where it became a slugfest with some reasonable pitching, it was 18-12, I think, the score last year, which, you know, a traditional baseball game, if it's 3-2, you're looking at a great game. So we've seen 8 runs scored already, so it's certainly been a big start.
And I think probably in any sport, it's like you just got to have things go your way. If you can have the little things go your way, that certainly will help, you know, progressing to winning this game today. So it'll just be those little things, I feel, that might make the difference.
Yeah, I think so. I think Belmont probably then had one, you know, they obviously had a lot of luck with that run that went through there. It was a wild throw, so you deserve a bit of luck if the opposition make an error. But to go through that small hole there was a big run for them. But Toronto just hit the ball sweetly on good pitches. They did most things right. As I said, as well as the luck for Belmont, I think McMaster-Small with 1 out just being smart enough to look for a pitch outside and hit a ground ball to tie the game up and start all over again was very good.
So Belmont, what are they looking at this innings? What are they going to do? Where do they need to be by the end?
Well, now you're starting to get into the bottom of your order. You got number 9 up for Belmont. I think. Oh, and what you want is to get a lead off on when the young Ilan Laws. He can run like a scalded cat. He's been there, done that. He's a second grader. Belmont got a couple of had an injury or two, and Ilan seized his opportunity. But realistically, if he gets on twice today, Belmont will be ecstatic. So he's on once already. So the lower part of the order, you know, you're looking for some advantages here. Now you go to the start of the lineup again. So you're back into your strength. And Jace had 3 or 4 good hits in last week's final. So they'd be hoping to push on here. And if Jace can find a way on here, it starts to put a bit of pressure back on Toronto.
What about the players' preparation for a game like today? Do they change their preparation at all to other games that they play throughout the season?
Yeah, well, I guess every person's different, and the team probably doesn't. I think from what I've seen from the Toronto camp, they've even picked up intensity further in their training. So bits I've seen on social media and that, which I think is probably a pretty good thing, because I don't think any of this amateur baseball they probably don't quite work hard enough during the regular season. But again, for a lot of these guys, Newcastle baseball is an all-round sport. If they're playing higher level, then sometimes summer takes precedence. So they want the first 3 or 4 months of the winter season to take it pretty easy. Jace has bled one through there, the infield. Now this is it's going to be very interesting here, and he's through. So Ilan Laws advances from first to third. He can run pretty good, and he's done that very, very well. And Jace has yet another hit in postseason. So mentally, Belmont's been strong in these situations. They've always kept themselves in a low profile. They've tried to, even though they've been favourites, they've tried to just stay very introverted, if you like, in themselves in those last couple of weeks, and not got outside their own camp.
Just getting back to the pitches, this is a question I wanted to ask you as well. What's some of the speeds that these guys are pitching?
I think Tim Cox, the left-hander, probably threw high 80s in his best. That looked to me to be about 84, I would have guessed today, 84 mile an hour. We got a stolen base, but Dries has fouled that off. I'm guessing McAdam, and it looks to me to be around 83, 84 mark as well. I could be wrong. I've been out of the game for 4 or 5 years now, so you tend to not read it. You also tend to hear people tell you how hard they're throwing, and it's probably about 5 mile an hour less. So I think I'm probably at the low end today, the 83, 84 mark, but it wouldn't be a great deal higher than that. That's a run. That is at least a run. That is going to be 2 runs. I'm pretty sure. Yep. Ilan Law scores. Here comes Jace Poole. So a double to Mark Dries, and as you said, you've known him for cricket, and the guy's a freak. So.
Do you think it's an advantage though, if you got someone who has other sporting attributes as well, like with Mark Dries playing cricket? I mean, it must be really good for him playing a sport like this.
Interesting. I think eye-hand coordination's a big thing, but probably the golf helps as much. Very different game, baseball and cricket. The baseball swing's a lot similar to golf. The transfer's different, whereas you hit against your front leg, your transfer's against your front leg, whereas in cricket you're getting over your front leg to keep the ball down. We had a guy who's in our Hall of Fame here at Belmont who was a great cricketer, and we've got another balk here for a no stop. I didn't see who called that. Might have been the plate umpire. So Mark Dries advances to third. Yeah. So where were we? Talking about swings.
Yeah, pretty much talking about other sports being attributable to making it a success in baseball.
Going back to a Hall of Famer we've got, and you've never seen a worse swing in your life than a guy named Mark Curry, who's been one of the greatest cricketers that the town's produced. But they throw this off-speed pitches at Mark Curry, and he'd get over his front foot. He'd look terrible, and then those wrists are just flop onto the ball, and next thing you know, he's hit a home run or a double, and pitchers are shaking their head, wondering how he did it. So I think the technique is a lot more towards golf, but your great eye-hand guys can do anything. Ability's an amazing thing. You look at I get jealous of the Afro-Americans in the States, and just some of them, the swings aren't great, but gee whiz, can they? Their brute strength and ability is just amazing. They're great athletes.
You spoke about the pitches and the speeds and all that sort of stuff. What's some of the speeds that the leading pitchers, say in America, would be going?
A lot of starting pitchers, right-handers particularly, they're required to be 93 to 96. Left-handers, they'd like to be that, but they're often a bit less. And a lot of closers. Guy for Chapman, I think, throws over 100 mile an hour for the New York Yankees, and so a lot of the ninth innings pitchers are throwing pretty, around that 100 mile an hour mark. Gorman wasn't very happy with that pitch. It looked a touch outside, but he struck out, and he was probably being a bit quiet. He had a recent trip to the judiciary on a bad call on him a couple of weeks ago. So here we go. That could be long enough. I think it will be. Yeah, it'll be long enough for Dries, I'm sure. Yeah, Campbell not even having a go. So a sacrifice fly there to Chris Hook scores the run for Mark Dries. So already I think you're covering the wrong sport. I think we're at the cricket here. It's 7-4 innings and a half. So it's more runs than you normally see in a game. So.
I think you're right too when it comes to sacrificing. Sometimes you do have to sacrifice an out for someone to obviously go through to the last base. So it's also looking at that as well as a player too when you're up on the plate too, isn't it?
Well, it is. I was busy talking. I didn't check the infield then, but that was money for jam for Chris Hook. Really, You're hoping, if the infield was in, you're hoping at that stage for a high fastball, because you've only got to get it with a bit of distance into the outfield if you get that, and you've got a runner on third who can tag up and score. So that was smart baseball. And we've got the third out there, Osmo and Aroa throwing over to the first baseman. We talked about McMaster Small's smart hitting and hitting that ground ball with one out. Well, again, one out, high fastball, get the ball in the outfield, and the runner on third scores. And, often it's not the amount of hits that win a baseball. Always, it's not the amount of hits that win a baseball game, but the most amount of runs naturally. So, however you score them doesn't matter.
All right, so we're at a very important part of the game now, and of course now it's Toronto's turn to come back in and have a go in their innings. And what do you think? What do you think they're thinking right now as they move into the next phase of this game?
Well, again, same again. You start again. They're actually a run closer than they were this time, but there's only 8 innings to go. But 8 innings is a long way. So you're looking at you're down the bottom of your order. Might be Anderson Vine, the young kid who's. I'm not sure. He might be due up, who's just been to the World Championships and a very good under-18 World Championship. So you're trying to get one of those bottom of the order hitters up and get on base, and then you can try and graft a run. As you can see, these first 2 innings I think have been Belmont really grafting through walks, getting hits when they've needed to, but nowhere near as clean as the pure power of Toronto. And that's the only way Belmont are going to be able to match it with Toronto here. No, sorry, it's Dylan Smider up to bat, of course. And like I said, I hope today's a different day for Dylan, but he is a extremely talented catcher, and he's just got a little bit of work to do on his hitting. And rolled over that one a little bit, and if he can make himself into a slot, works hard, he's hitting. I think he's got the potential to certainly play National League.
Yeah, well, I guess it's like any sport, isn't it? I mean, the younger players have always got things to work on, and I guess, baseball's no different to any other sport that you play. But I guess every time you're playing, you're always trying to improve your performance and improve certain aspects of your game as well.
Yeah, well, certainly, and when you're in a country town, you're getting taught by coaches in Sydney. And you're a young man. You're getting taught by coaches up here. Every father and coach and drunk on the hill's got an opinion, and it can be confusing as a young fella. So you've got to keep your mind on taking it all in and using the best of what's going to work for you. As I said, this young kid of Anderson Vine's just been to the World Championship and had a very good series. And I can't remember. I think I was lucky enough to play in a senior or coach in a senior team that beat Cuba once. But he played in a team last week that beat Cuba at the World Championships. And it's not often Australia can put their hand up and say they've beaten Cuba at any level of baseball. So. Certainly he's done himself proud, and him as well as Rickson Wingrove from Phoenix have enjoyed really good success lately. Chase that pitch a little.
Can I just ask you about injuries as well? For those, obviously watching our telecast here this afternoon, what happens in the case if one of the players actually gets injured throughout the game? What's the story there?
Well, the rules of baseball are, you can they'll have an injury break or they'll check. But essentially, if you're taken out of the game, you're taken out of the game. There's no let him sit on the sidelines for 10 minutes. There are in certain leagues, it might even be in the Newcastle League, where if a person's got an injury, you can sit off for 10 minutes, but it's not a rule of baseball, and I don't know. They brought something in Newcastle a couple of years ago. I'm not sure if it's still in, but rules of baseball, if you're done, you're done. Yeah. That's going to be a base hit, I think. That'll fall in, won't it? Yep, it's fallen in on the doors. So Michael Campbell, same as he did in the first. Do you want to throw the pitch away? And of course, the matchups of right-hander on right-hander and left-hander on left-hander are big, and left-handers would way, as a rule, prefer to be hitting against right-handers where the curveball's coming into them and that. So you've got to be a really gifted player to be able to go and with a curveball going away and just stroke it in left field like he did so smoothly then. That he's just missed that. Gotten up the handle a little.
And you're talking about the left-handers and the right-handers. Does the pitcher, when he has a left-hander in and then all of a sudden he has a right-hander in, does he change what he does, or does he sort of keep a focus on where he wants the ball to actually go?
He's certainly going to. Each hit is different. You know, there are stereotypes of righties and lefties, but you've usually got an idea of what you think a weakness is for an opposition hitter if you know them well enough. And that that's now how's that for heads up baseball for Michael Campbell? Round the third, then on a slight error, hard play for Tom O'Gorman, but forever the complete professional Campbell. Most players would have been scratching their head in second and waiting for the next pitch, and there he is on third, and now a ground ball here. Even a ground ball gets if they get a double play here, Belmont run will score with none out. No, it's one out. Sorry. No, it's two out. How am I going? I'm travelling well here. So, but great anticipation there by Campbell. We've got two out. Pat Mart, a big threat here, and the good thing that the thing Belmont would look for here is to throw him very, very tight and not be scared of putting him on base. Except you've got Bosman Aroa coming up next, so the threats don't get any easier here with these. This 1, 2, 3, 4 for Toronto is an amazing top order. So there's no holes there, and as you can see from two out, they put themselves in a great position. And that's long. That is long, and that'll score 2 runs. That is it's a triple. Monroe comes in and scores, and Mart has brought it back to 7-6.
Just a clean hit, wasn't it? I mean, you and I are in a great position here, and that was just so cleanly hit. It was probably one of the better hits of the day, actually.
Certainly was, and well, you can tell by just listening. The beautiful thing about a wooden bat league is when someone hits a ball correctly, it's the best sound in baseball. You saw the one that Moko popped up there foul, and it just sounded different. It just sounded clattery. Whereas that ball there, as soon as it was hit, you just the sound of it told you it was going to go a long way.
I know this might be a silly question, and I'm sure you'll answer it. The baseball bat itself, obviously, it's got some sweet spots there, as they say.
Yeah, it certainly has. Probably from about 2 inches down for those next 5 inches is absolute meat of the bat. And if you can get it in the perfect spot there, it's about as sweet as it gets. As you could see, that was. So all of a sudden, we had 2 out, no one on. 7-4 Belmont. Now you have a look, and 7-all with 2 out. So Toronto, sensational 2-out hitting. No walks, no nothing. Cox throwing strikes, doing his job, and the Toronto hitter's just too good.
So as a pitcher, when you're in this situation, what do you do now? I noticed the backstop's gone up to have a chat to him. What sort of conversation do you think they're having right now?
I'm not. I'm not that close to the intricacies of Belmont at the moment, but I saw Cox warm up. I know what he's capable of. I think, and I know that Belmont probably lack a little depth in pitching, and I think he's just going out there to give him time. Coach Harrison, because as you can see, there was not much velocity in the first innings from Cox, and there appears to be even less now. I think he's having to rely on his off-speed pitches because he's sore. I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like to me. I've seen him pitch a lot better than this. At the same time, being a smart baseballer, he hasn't thrown a walk yet. So if you're sore, make him earn every run and battle through it. And a little bit of a jam there on Eden, and we've got it 7-all. So that murderer's run of Toronto has done the damage already and contributed a fair bit of the runs that Toronto has scored.
Can I just ask you about the role of the backstop? I mean, how important is the role of the backstop in baseball?
Yeah, catcher.
The catcher, yes.
Yeah, so generally on the IQ stakes, generally the pitcher stereotyping again is probably lower than 30, whereas the catcher, you like to be a smart guy who knows about every hitter. Can call the sweet spots of what the weakest, can call the best pitches that the hitter is weakest at in the best counts, can call it in or out or up, or and knows when to get a pitcher picking off if there's a run threat. But he's a guy who's generally a student of the game and so crucial. A huge part of the game here. The higher the level they go, the more important your catcher is.
Yeah, and how important is the communication between the catcher and the pitcher? I mean, I would say there's a lot of importance there as well.
Oh, certainly. Now you can see. We'll wait for the next pitch, and you'll see Smider go down here, and he'll put a sequence. He'll probably just put one number down, and then probably standard is 1 ball's a fastball, 2's a curve, 3 might be a slider or his change up, and then you'll see him set up, depending on the count, whether he's setting up inside, outside, or down the middle if he's way behind in the count. And we've got another hit for Blight. So and it's another double. So. Certainly in his last game of baseball, he's standing up, and he's been terrible the last couple of weeks and looked like an old man. Well, today he's a bloke who knows how to lift himself for the big occasion. But now you'll see Smider here. Will when he puts his signs on, he'll probably put a sequence of numbers down. It'll take him a little longer because there's a runner on second who can read his signs and could relay them by his foot movement or whatever, and let the pitcher know what's coming. Let the hitter know what's going. So some of the old stuff. If he's just calling a 1 there and a fastball. Blight might cross over with his feet when he gets off the base as opposed to the slide, so whether it's a fastball or an off speed. But at this level, a young bloke like Smider will have, it might be second signal or third signal. He'll change it up, perhaps innings by innings. And we've got a chance, and it's a stolen base here to Blight. So. A very big play, especially in low-scoring games. If you can, with 1 out, if you can steal third, you now become a fair chance. You put pressure on the infield. You see the infield's come in here to stop the run a little bit, which gives Brown more of a chance of sneaking it through because the field's shorter. Or conversely, Toronto might have played back then, and then the ground ball gets you a run. So Toronto's choosing to try and protect this. But with Blight getting the third, it puts a lot more pressure on Toronto.
So with the steals themselves, I mean, I guess it's all about the timing thing. I mean, I would imagine that sometimes trying to steal a run, it can all go wrong as well.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, with a right-hander, it's pretty standard. If you've got a right-hand pitcher, a left-hander can leg kick and pick off. But generally, if a pitcher, they time a pitcher from his set to the moment it gets to the plate, and both these coaches will probably have stopwatches with them, and they're timing, especially if there's a runner on first or second, they're timing the opportunity there. So if he's under 1-3, very, very difficult to steal on, especially with a good catcher like Smider. If he's 1.3 to 1.5 seconds, you've got a sporting chance. If you're over 1.5 seconds, blokes like me can nearly steal, as long as you get the timing and the jump right. And one thing Blight certainly does. Here's the play, and he's safe. So you saw the pressure on there that Blight got resulted in a run with Belmont, which was really good running by Blight, really smart baseballer. So.
Like I said, in the field, you've got to be on your mettle. You've got to be watching the game, haven't you? You've got to be knowing where the runners are and all that sort of stuff too. I mean, it's just one of those games, isn't it, where you just got to really concentrate really hard each and every pitch. Yeah, well, that ball was far enough away from the fielder that he didn't have time to really stare Blight down and drive him back towards third base. So he had to make a decision to go for Blight or throw the ball, because it was a bit away from him. It was going to be, if he waited too long, the runner would be safe. So that gave Blight a chance to be a little bit further down the base and sooner down the base path and score. But yeah, as far as pitches, if you're over 1.5, but guys like Blight just read and anticipate so well. So out of 3 pitches, if they've got guys a little slow to the plate, you can bet in one of the next 3 pitches they're going to be gone. And that's a pretty good piece of the ball, and it's caught. That was hit too well. So very good hitting there by Ilan Laws, and then we're 8-3. So the runs are starting to slow up a bit. Can I, whilst we have a little bit of a break here, can I just talk to you about the coaches and for our people at home and watching us this afternoon who don't regularly watch baseball, but have got an opportunity on Bar TV today to have a look. The interaction between the players and the coaches during the game, does much of that go on?
Oh yeah, you're highly trying to manage your pitches. You've got a guy, a young fella here, and not so young anymore, 40-year-old Dwayne Harrison. Very good with communicating with players, knows the game very well technically, but at a decent level, they all know their technical stuff reasonably well. It's like any sport. You look at the Wayne Bennett's, and that people management is a big thing. So his communication there, plus strategy plays a big part of the game. And give Dwayne his due. I'm a huge fan of the catcher from Belmont, and I naturally had discussions with Dwayne during the week, and I would have had Sam Brown batting 6. I think he's one of the most complete hitters postseason in town, and he's hitting him 8, and he's got Blighty who's been struggling batting 6, and that strategy where you hit people is important. Now, if he would have listened to me this week, Belmont would have had about 4 less runs, because Blight's had two great hits, and Brownie hasn't. But again, Brownie had a very sensible at bat to score a run there earlier as well. So. A very experienced player, Sam Brown, and played at a reasonable level. Played juniors and seniors for New South Wales country, and been a good player. But we're up to Dylan McMaster Small back at the plate. So this is where Belmont have got the lower end of the Toronto lineup. They've got to make sure they get through it. And as we expected, I thought Cox was sore, and for him to throw 2 innings in a grand final. This is a big game changer. Adam Blight would have hoped to be coming on in the 6th, and he's now pitching in the 3rd. So the first blood really drawn by Toronto here.
Yes, well, it's sort of when you got the pitcher, he's only there for 2 innings, and then all of a sudden he's off and they replace him. How does he feel though as a player? Does he feel as though he may have let the team down?
Oh, I'm sure he'll be disappointed, but he's a supreme professional, and and he's played at a good level, and I think he might just realise now that he's not as young as he used to be. He really tried hard. I could see when he was warming up that he wasn't really going to be up to it, and unfortunately for him and the club, but it's better him coming on as a team guy. It's better off coming now than throwing pies for and being sore for another 6 months. It's better off coming. He's better off coming off. But Blight's traditionally a slow starter as a pitcher too, and that was a critical thing there. They wanted McMaster Small to try and get through another steady innings. It'd be good. They're the weaker part of the Toronto order, and they need some outs here, so they need Blight to keep them in the game. The changes would have been the designated hitter Eddie Figueroa, who I think is moved to first base. Greg Allen's moved to third base, and Blighty's just hit his second hitter. So they've got. So that's not a bad thing for Belmont probably now, because if they can get this young bloke to hit a ground ball now, they could get a double play, which will be a big help. But Blight hasn't looked sharp in his start. Hopefully for Belmont's sake, it's because he hasn't had a lot of time to warm up. But yeah, you can see Greg Allen's gone to third, so there's been a couple of changes. That's not a bad pitch, but just down the way.
So where do you think Toronto need to be after this inning? Where do you feel they need to be to sort of try and consolidate themselves in this game?
I think they're now thinking that all they got to do now really is just make them earn, and that's got through. The ground ball, Blight got the ground ball that he wanted, but it was just in the hole, and it was hard enough hit by Smider. So I think Toronto now would really be pretty pumped. They know they've got to the bullpen. They know Belmont hasn't got a deep bullpen. They're just going to make these guys earn every out, and it'll be a tall order from Belmont from here, I think. If Belmont don't get this out, you then move back to Murderers Row, Campbell, Monaroa, Mart and Monaroa. So if they can't get this out, it could be a very, very long innings. And this kid's got nothing to lose here. He's going to be swinging pretty free. And he's done it. So this is... it's now, the game's tied. You've got none out. And you've got the four of the best hitters in Newcastle coming to the plate. So this could be huge for Toronto.
Yeah, and it could be an opportunity here for them to maybe go 3 or 4 ahead too, and that's really going to put a lot of pressure on Belmont for their next innings, isn't it?
I'm thinking right now they're hoping to go about 7 ahead. I think they would want to be scoring these 3 and the next 4 here, and but you take it one at a time. First of all, you look at Campbell to try and get on, and he's looking, and he's your good guy, can go with the pitch wherever it is. He can get a walk, he can do anything here. He's a smart ball player, so he's looking to he's not looking for the big hit, he's looking to get on any way he can. If it's a bad pitch, he'll hit it long, but looking to get on any way he can and give him a start. And there it is, Toronto lead with a hit by pitch ball.
And Michael Campbell hit by pitch, which brings Todd Bowden across the plates.
Bowden scores, and now you got some free swinging coming up. The biggest threat to Toronto having a huge innings here is these next 3 guys swinging too big, but they've had a lot of experience behind them now, and I couldn't see them doing that. Coach Dwayne Harrison going to the mound again, obviously concerned with Blight's velocity and with his direction. So doesn't seem to have a lot of movement on the ball. And
the other thing too, I think, with Blight here with the pitching role he's got now, he probably came to the game today thinking that he wouldn't be in this situation at this part of the game either. So this is obviously something that he probably hasn't thought about too much, but he's in a position now where he's really got to do some good stuff for his team.
Well, especially if he isn't quite 100% with the arm. He threw a lot of innings last week, so if he isn't quite 100%, he's now going to have to pace himself, because I don't know what Belmont's got behind them. Maybe Chris Hook or Jace Poole, but you'd severely doubt they could hold this Toronto lineup to under 20 runs. I would have thought. That's a pretty good pitch, actually. It was towards the top of the zone, but he's called it, and much needed by Blight. Missed by a long way. So fair struggle here.
You can feel the Toronto crowd, though. They're sort of getting excited. They know what is in store here if they certainly play the game the way that they should be playing the game. So this could be very interesting, this little period.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to be wanting to play it the way Belmont's played it in a lot of their wins. Just make them earn every out. If you're smart, you don't get too ahead of yourself, and just don't take anything for granted. Just play one pitch at a time, one out at a time. It could be a long afternoon here. That is long. That is called get out the rye bread, grandma, because it's grand salami time. Four run grand slam. Moko Monaroa. Absolute crush of the ball.
One thing I noticed too when that ball was sailing over, one thing that I'm a bit of a body language sort of a person, and I noticed that the Belmont, their body language, they just sort of dropped it. Just their heads dropped a little bit too. So they need to sort of lift their heads up now. They need to really work hard, don't they?
Yeah, look, I'm sure they've played enough grand finals that they'll never give in. But that body blow to Cox, I think, and just having a look at Blighty, you can see that where Cox, he was getting hit throwing good pitches down in the zone all the time, and the better hitters from Toronto are still hitting him. Blighty's missing up, he's missing out, he's missing in. When he is throwing a strike, that pitch thrown in was probably 3 full balls higher in the zone than where Cox was throwing, and it got the perfect result that it deserved for throwing a pitch there. Yeah, it's looking a long struggle. He's certainly struggling to find the plate anywhere. I mean, with no runners on, you'd even though Marta a real solid hitter. Hello, here they've got an out, so at least they've got themselves a start. And a fly ball by Mart to Jace Poole, but it doesn't stop here. Here comes Bosch Monaroa, who, if he gets a pinch like Moko got, could possibly send it another 30 feet further than Moko's.
So who is the biggest hitter in the Toronto team?
I think you're looking at him, right? Oh, probably, no, maybe Pat Mart. Pure strength, but timing and strength. Boss and him would be very close. You look at that. Have a look at how hard that come off the bat. He's hit that ball that hard that it's got to the fence that quick that he got a single instead of a double. That's power. It hit the fence in 2 seconds.
And I guess with baseball itself, I guess it's like a lot of sports that the timing is also important. You don't want to be trying to hit the ball too hard, do you?
No, and that's what Toronto did then. They've just stayed back, waited for the ball. You start trying to swing too hard, you get out in front too much, or you wind up too much, and the ball gets on you a little bit quicker because you've used up too much in your load up, and they've just stayed with good compact load ups, and further this goes more. It's looking early days yet, but it's looking exciting times for Toronto.
I know one thing's for sure. Since we arrived here, the wind has certainly dropped, hasn't it? Like there's not much wind here at all.
No, yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, it's sort of the conditions have changed from the start of the game.
Yeah, and now look at that. See another good hit. Staying inside the ball. He's got it down the line. Wasn't a perfect hit as far as he didn't hit it that hard. But, oh, here we go. Here's another. Oh, wow. Wow. So there was a fair chance of a play at the plate then, and the pitchers interfered or collected the ball. I think that might have been a pretty close play at home plate. From our angle here, it was certainly going to be worth a look, but the runs scored, so it's 14-8. Blighty probably a little bit upset with himself on the pitch and got in the way when he probably could have let that ball go through. It was going to be Eden was going to be on second anyway, so letting it go through to the catcher it certainly wouldn't have hurt then, and it could have resulted in a hit, because I don't think Boss is the fastest runner in Australia. Back to McMaster Small again, and he hasn't quite got that. It could be a bit of sun there, but no, Gorman's taken a good catch, and that's 2 out. Belmont will be looking to get the 3rd out now and have a little chance to regroup and try and slow the game down a little bit.
Yeah, because it's kind of, in a way, a little bit getting away from them, isn't it? 14-8 at this stage. They want to try and not to have any more runs scored on them at all in this innings at all.
Well, I think they would. Yeah, I think you're right, and I think they're fast coming to the realisation that they're going to have to make Toronto earn every out here, and they're going to need probably 20 runs to score to win a grand final, which is unprecedented that I can think of in Newcastle baseball. It's certainly, and I mean the strength of this hitting. I mean, Cox, Blight. There's been worse pitches. These guys have been quality pitchers. So for 14 runs to be scored in 3 innings. Just tells you how good Toronto are, and you can see I don't think there's been an error from Belmont. I don't think there might have been a walk or a couple of hit pitch, but Toronto's earned nearly every run they've scored, and it's a credit to them. It's just they look all over the plate, don't they? They look all over every pitch. Got him swinging, and now they've got out of it. So now a chance to regroup, a chance to use their experience, and from Toronto's point of view, now you're just thinking one out at a time.
So I noticed the coaches over there with the Belmont players right now, obviously get them together and say, righto guys, come on, regroup, we've got to really concentrate on this next innings and try and get as many runs as we can.
Well, yeah, they've got to be in contact. If they're within 2 or 3 runs in the 8th and 9th, the experience and the nervousness of Toronto could, which they have to be after chasing their first title, could come in. But if it's 6 or 7 runs, you're not feeling a real lot of pressure, so it doesn't come into it. But as most people in Newcastle baseball would know, there's probably been 8 or 9, well, at least 6 experiences over the last 20 years where Belmont's been 10 runs worse than the opposition on paper, and somehow found a way to win a ball game. I don't know what they're going to call on today. It's going to be pretty tough.
Now I know that you're obviously affiliated with Belmont. Toronto, as we know, have never won. I mean, if they win today, I mean, what will that mean to them if they take the title out today? Oh,
I think it'll mean everything. There's been some stalwarts. I actually coached a couple of years over there in the early 90s, and some of the blokes who I'm sure will be around here today, Bob Porter and Kevin Hudson and the whole Hudson family, I think nearly all of them are life members. Peter Ewish. Guys who have just put so much work and so much dream into them winning a grand final, and Belmont's always been well connected with their juniors and their seniors, where for some reason Toronto's always struggled to get those sensational juniors into converting themselves into great senior players, and over the last 6 or 7 years they've done that, and they would have hoped they would have had a result before today, because they've certainly been strong for the last 6 or 7 years, and probably there's been at least two or three of those years where they've been undoubtedly the best team on paper in the comp, and just unfortunately for them, they haven't quite found a way. But today's they're in as good a position as they've ever been in the grand final.
And of course, it would be a good boost for the players out there to see the older players and the stalwarts of the club here as well, supporting them and cheering them on, and that'd certainly give them a huge boost, wouldn't it?
Oh, certainly. And I mean, the two boys who play professionally, the Mona boys, their father Joe's been a tireless worker. Mum's been through a bit of poor health, and that over the last couple of years. They're a terrific family. The young brother played in the winning second grade grand final. He's a card in his own, boy. Oh, that looked a good pitch. Must have just been lower, just been outside hard from this angle. Yeah, and Boy's been is a great player. I remember when the young kids signed with Boston, the two. Oh, an error there. So first error. When Boston Moko signed with the Australian coach was the Red Sox coach. Red Sox scout, and he signed them. And right in the middle of signing, Boy as an 11-year-old walked up there and said, "You know you've signed the wrong bloke, don't you?" So he's a character, that kid.
He sounds like he is, yes, definitely.
That's a very, very good play. And
it was good fielding, wasn't it, that? He turned around and straight away he knew exactly where it had to go. And as I said before, and we were talking before earlier on about defence, how important the defence is. You really got to have the concentration there and not have too many errors, because the errors will certainly make you pay, won't they?
Yeah, they certainly will. And I'm just that was the error made them pay, but then it looks like Eden out there. Eden has really got him out of a bind there. You always like to get the leading runner, and that was a sensational play. He's landed on that shoulder pretty hard, and he's obviously might have felt like he partially dislocated or something, but I don't think he has. I think he's just turned around because he's moving it all right. But again, Boss made the error, and then Kurt managed to get that leading run to give him a chance. The organ's warming up a bit early. I expected that in the 7th, but it's there already. Very interesting music.
Yes, I was going to say, it feels like we're overseas when we're hearing that music, that's for sure.
Well, I think if this game was at Belmont, I don't think the Belmont crew would have been playing charge for the hitting team. I don't know what it's a little bit of a hitting song, that charge, and Belmont's up the bat. I don't think Belmont would give Toronto the same respect if it was at their home ground in a grand final.
How important is home ground advantage? Like we say it in sport, if you can play at home in front of your crowd and things like that. Obviously, we've got both sides of the teams with really good crowds here today, but surely there's got to be some sort of advantage there, is there?
Oh, I think undoubtedly that's right. Here's now to make up for that error, Boss has just turned the sweetest double play you'd ever want to see. O'Gorman's ground out the Mona rower, and he had that in Eden's glove in about 2 seconds. So sensational way to come back after an error. When that next ball comes to you, you're always thinking about, how do I make that play? And he certainly made in a hurry. So momentum all Toronto's way. But yeah, home ground advantage, definitely. Once upon a time, they try to share the grounds around a lot these days. Whereas once upon a time, Belmont just had the most perfect infield, and for a lot of times in the 70s and 80s, it was just every year it was our home ground and a huge advantage to our blokes, whereas now they share it around, and Belmont's still a lovely ground, but every other club now has really come up to their standard. Probably the one at Gateshead's is too small, in my opinion, to play a grand final. I'm not a big fan of them playing games there, but this surface here, as you can see, has been lovely. Boomerang Park plays very well. So the new ground out at Colcurran Park out at Plattsburgh is a nice ground. So they couldn't lose anything by playing at any grand final. But if you get it at your own park and you can see the crowds all behind Toronto. There's a lot of people been waiting for a long time for today, I think.
Now, of course, Toronto coming in now to have another innings, and I mean this is a really good opportunity for Toronto to take advantage of Belmont. I mean they wouldn't have been thinking about that last innings going the way that it went. So this is a really great opportunity for Toronto to really stamp their authority on this game.
Well, again, and it's a chance to be pretty professional. If this young kid got on here, Smider, I would not even think twice about bunning the next guy, because you're to your 8 and 9 in the hit, and you got your big 4 up. So if this guy gets up on only thing you don't want, that might do enough. That's going to fall. So now you're trying to just go run. They score a run every innings from here. They finish up with 20 runs. That isn't going to lose too many grand finals. So what you don't want to hear is this young fella grounding out when you've got the great four. So I'd be squeezing, I'd be bunting him through here if I were them. Even though it's a 6-run game, I'd be bunting him through and letting those big 4 go in, and one of them's likely to be able to hit young Smider home. You would have to think, based on what we've seen so far today. But no, he's letting him swing away, so obviously Coach Norman is full of confidence. Putting his signs on there, so certainly wouldn't be a steal, I wouldn't think. I don't think the young bloke he runs a bit like me.
And obviously the pitcher, he's quite aware of what's going on here, so he's got a lot of things to concentrate on, not just pitching the ball, but he's got the runner trying to steal a run as well. So he's in 2 minds, isn't he?
He certainly is. I think that probably with here, he probably would say, I've got to keep this guy honest, but he's not you wouldn't be expecting him to steal. Whereas, if it was Campbell, you'd be really panicking. That as soon as he gets a good jump, he's going to be running on you, and you're worried about him. You're trying to pick him off and whatever. That is a body blow to young Anderson Vine, and it's a big body blow to Belmont, because once again you got the first 2 runners on, and Murderer's Row is lining up to inflict a lot of pain, I would think.
Can I just ask you, in that situation where he is hit there, can you get yourself in trouble if you intentionally move across to let the ball hit you? Is there a penalty for that?
Yes, certainly. Most umpires would say, look, don't move into it, but if the ball comes through your zone, then certainly if it comes through your zone, you're entitled to take the blow. And naturally, all of these hit batters have been unintentional. You wouldn't even think about doing it. Occasionally, you see 1 or 2 intentionally warmed up when feelings get a bit hot.
Of course, we've got a little bit of change in the conditions here again now. The wind's starting to sort of pick up a bit, isn't it?
Pick up again, yeah. I think at this stage it's not going to have too much of an effect. The funny thing about this ground too is while it feels windy, somehow with a few trees around, right on the area of home plate, out in the outfield it gets pretty windy, but in there it seems to have a bit of protection. And that's ball 4. So I think right now Belmont's looking for a miracle. Blight is complaining about the pitch. Yeah, it looked a pretty good pitch, but of course, when you're under the pump 14-8, you're really starting to panic a little bit more and get a little bit more edgy on a 50-50 call. And as you can see, that pitch there, he's taken that. Wasn't a bad pitch, but probably I think Blight would like it about 3 inches lower than that. He picks off to third. I don't know what the purpose of that was. And I'm sure if Monroe would have liked, he could have scored a run then. That pitch was certainly inside, and a little bit of a body turn would have resulted in another run for Toronto. So I think all Moko's seen is more than one run in his eyes here. And that time he does get hit. So that brings the run across the plate.
Is there such thing as a time limit for pitching? Do you have a certain time that you have to pitch the ball?
Generally, I think the rule's about 20 seconds between pitches, or pick-offs. I've never seen it take that long. I can't remember in all the years I've been around ever seen it get to that.
Okay, so what do Belmont need to do now? Obviously, they need to get some outs. I mean, that's obvious. Where are they going to get the outs?
They're dreaming that this kid tries to hit the ball long and rolls over a ball to shortstop or second, and they give up another run, but they get a double play. That's really what they're doing. Blight's trying to keep the ball low to get that. Mart's hoping that if the pitch gets up, he'll either hit it long or he'll at least hit it long enough to score a run. And that's what, as you can see, he tried to lift that ball to the outfield, keep it away from the infield. And with that sort of swing, there's a fair chance he's going to get it out to one of those outfielders who would have had absolutely no chance of throwing the runner out on a sacrifice at home.
One thing I have noticed too, the Toronto camp are very vocal. Over on our right hand side here, we've got the Belmont supporters. They're very quiet. There's not much happening here. Just on the right hand side of me, they're just very quiet. They're very, I guess, they're just studying the game, just hoping something can happen for their team.
Yeah, two different types of teams too. Toronto are traditionally a very vocal, aggressive team. They work a lot on passion. Belmont probably had that bit more experience, a lot more level, calm. But at the same time, Belmont would be popping off a little bit more if they were leading 16-8. As you can see, then Mutt got the pitch he wanted. He just lifted that ball to the outfield, and all of a sudden, there's another run. So they just keep on adding runs by getting the pitch they want. Now, if Monroe Boss can get one up here, he'll certainly be doing the same thing, trying to. Knowing Boss, he'll be trying to put that to that right field wall,
and as you said before, if they can get to 20 here, Toronto, I mean that's going to be a huge body blow for Belmont, and they're going to be sort of going into the next innings thinking to themselves, well, how are we going to make up these runs?
Yeah, I certainly. Here's another two, and it's got to be a triple here, even Boss. Jeez, he's hit that a long way, and if we would have had a calendar, we could have probably timed that. That is the slowest triple in the history of baseball. I think he enjoyed that. So yeah, now we're up to 18-8. So 10 runs after 7 innings and it's game over. So we could be in here for an early afternoon. Eden hasn't quite got enough of that, but it will be enough to score a run even off Boss, even with Boss running, I think. Yeah, he's got there a little bit quicker than he did last time, the first 3 bases.
And of course, when you think about it, I mean, you and I at Bar TV, we could be sitting here just watching history unfold. Toronto could get their first premiership. This is just, I guess, a very historical day if this happens in Newcastle baseball.
I certainly think it is, and I think it'll be a credit to the club if they do. I think they've look at this. They're just really they're playing Belmont baseball. You know what Belmont have done for 20 years. Today, Toronto appear to be doing exactly that. They're making Blight earn every strike. When he is throwing a strike, they're hitting it. He's now, I think this is the 2nd visit, so if that's the case, he'll be gone. Maybe it's only the 1st visit this innings. No, it must be the... Yeah. He's talking to him, so he must be... Yep, he's gone. So we're moving to the knuckleballer, Mark Dries. So... Again, Belmont would have been expecting Blight to be coming on in 2 innings' time. Now Blight's been and gone, and you're on to Mark Dries.
So it sort of upset the equilibrium, I suppose you could say, of what their plans were today. Because obviously, you know, both teams will come in with plans for how they're going to play today's game. And I guess one of the things for every team that you play in a grand final, you've got to try and upset the equilibrium of the other team and upset the way that they're going to play. And I think at the moment, Toronto are certainly doing that, aren't they?
Oh, look, they're just hitting pure and beautifully. You know, Belmont Field can't do any more. They're not making errors. They're not doing anything wrong. Toronto's just purely out hitting them, and I'm sure in the times I coached Belmont in these sort of situations and the times Dwayne's coached them, there's only one thing you're looking for. When you know a team is far superior on paper, then you're looking to be close to them after 7 or 8 innings, because then it comes down, ability goes out of the game, and in that 8th and 9th, and passion, energy, poise is what wins you a grand final. But if you're not close in the 8th and 9th, you can't, and you're behind the 8th ball already, you can't match the strength like this. There's free swinging Toronto. It wouldn't be the case. They wouldn't be like this if the game was closer. They've got nothing to lose. They're having a party here, and they're just trying to make every extra run, making them earn, making these guys throw pitches, and if they're not chasing any bad pitches at all, Toronto. They're doing it well. There goes the knuckleball. So if you have a look at the secret of Dries when he's at his best is he's trying to stop that ball from spinning at all. See that spun a little. He's trying to make it just float through the air.
Yeah, I noticed that his pitching is a lot slower than the 2 previous pitchers as well. So is that sort of upset the batters as well if the pitcher comes on who just varies their speed a little bit?
He's certainly very mesmerising. It is now. He's gone away with a little slider then, but the ability of a knuckleball is, because it wobbles in the air, it tends to dance a little, and it's not just the lack of pace, it's because you can see out of the hand it's coming through slow. It's more that the ball tends to move a lot in the air, and you think it's going to drop, and then it doesn't, and then it does, and then it doesn't, and then that last metre and a half, if you're a good knuckleball pitcher, it falls out of the sky and lands on the plate, and you look silly. Again, that was a good pitch there by Dries, because he was looking for the surprise. You know, that guy was Bowden was sitting on that knuckleball and knuckleball and knuckleball and knuckleball, and then he gets a fastball. I would think unless tries are silly, he will now not get too brave, and he'll come back to that knuckleball. Oh. That is a very, very good piece of the ball and very good hitting. He just went with the pitch crowd and he didn't look. A lot of guys from knuckleballers try to pull the ball over the left field fence, the right-handers, whereas he has just sat there, waited, and gone with the pitch. And it wasn't the best hit in the world, but he was putting it out there into the outfield and got into a spot where an outfielder wasn't. So he reaped the rewards. And again, we're back to young Smider, very talented catcher. And that's another run. So putting the pressure on Belmont. It's going to be a tough hit. Put the ball into play, and Greg Allen had to charge it and couldn't quite make and under pressure to get the ball out of his glove and get over to first in a hurry, because Smider did hustle up there pretty good, and another run. So it's 20-8, and I think the Toronto boys might be drinking a little bit earlier than 20-8 tonight. Yeah, and this last out is just taking so much time, isn't it? And the longer it takes, the worse it just gets for Belmont, doesn't it? Yeah, it certainly does, and I think they're just praying for a miracle. They just got to hope for some spark that comes there, and of course Belmont onto their third pitcher, and McAdam looking brilliant for Phoenix, and they've still got Robert Holland's young grandson, Dutchie Holland's grandson Thomas Holland to come on. He's a class pitcher in his own right, young fella with going places.
So what's your gut feeling, Shane? How do you feel about it now? Do you feel as though Belmont can make a comeback, or do you really get to the point where this is just getting harder and harder and harder for them?
If it was any other team, I'd say it's all over now. Yeah, with Belmont, I'd say they're 100-1, but they're and I don't know if I'd have my dollar on them at 100-1, but I've just seen them do so many amazing things for so many years. So you never know, but it's going to take beyond a miracle, I think. You just can't see that they're good enough. They're being outplayed in every facet of the game here. I think we're moving over to John Wingrove, former president of the association's going to move in now.
Well, mate, thank you so much for coming in and giving us your expert commentary here today, and we really appreciate it. And I know, as we've been saying during the commentary, you've been part of the Belmont club for a long, long time, and today, obviously the game's probably not going Belmont's way, but Toronto really they really have played pretty well today, haven't they?
Oh, certainly. They've taken it completely away from Belmont so far. So thanks for the opportunity to have a yak to you. And,
no, thank you very much, and really appreciate it. And we hope that baseball in Newcastle continues to sort of keep going on the up and up, and also we see some really good young players coming through the next few years as well.
Thanks very much, and congratulations, Bar TV. It's very well done.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Now we've got John Wingrove's going to join us to join the commentary here this afternoon, and it's turned out to be a really fantastic day weather-wise here today, I must say. And when we first got here around about 1:30 before the broadcast, there was a bit of wind around, and then it sort of has died down. It's been a really funny day as far as the weather is concerned, but Toronto is certainly turning it on here at the moment, and it's going to make it very difficult for Belmont to come back. And John Wingrove is joining us on the commentary here this afternoon. John, thank you so much for taking time to join us here on Bar TV. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate the opportunity, and thanks very much.
What do you think about today's game? I mean, this could be a bit of history here for Toronto. You know, right in front of us. It's going to be a really hard task for Belmont to come back here, don't you think?
Well, it's now Toronto's game to lose. Toronto, with the firepower they've got in the batter's box and the lead they've got, the game's theirs if they just go through the motions of doing what they have to do. Don't do anything silly. Don't make errors. They'll continue to hit the ball because of the nature of the lineup they've got with all these good hitters. So the pressure's going to stay on Belmont the whole time. And as I say, I think it's Toronto's to lose now.
Now, John, for those people who may not know of you in baseball in Newcastle, what's your background in baseball here?
Here? Well, I think today I'm about to present the most valuable player trophy that's just been named in the honour of my family. And my father in 1929 was an original member, and then I followed him, and then my son, and of course my two grandsons, one of whom's just come home from playing in the Australian team in Under-18 World Championship in Canada. In fact, that's where I've been for the last 2.5 weeks. But I got no jet lag, mate. I've looked after myself. So
excellent. That's really good news. Yeah. And you'll also be pleased to know that your grandson and my son have actually played cricket together, because your grandsons were also they're all, avid cricketers, and obviously they've moved on to baseball and they're doing very well, aren't they?
Well, it's got to the stage where it's become a choice. In my day as a young man, of course, it was a winter baseball, summer cricket, and of course, we can go through the list of all the people that have done that. The dual internationals, of course, Ian Chappell's one, but the Lorries and those sort of guys, Alan Connolly. But now, of course, the decision to go to summer, and in most of the states of Australia, not for us in Newcastle because of our restrictions with the grounds, but it's a decision, and in my case, my two grandsons made the decision to be baseball players. And that decision, unfortunately, has been forced on a lot of young kids.
Yeah, it's a bit like that in sport now, isn't it? Children have an opportunity to play a range of sports, and it gets to a stage where they have to make some sort of decision just to concentrate on that one sport and try their very best at playing that sport. So it's just the way, at this day and age that things are, isn't it, John?
It is indeed. And I mean, it's not just our sport. At the teenage years these days, to be an elite sportsman in any sport or sports person, you really got to make a decision in your teens to take that development step, the academy stuff, and all sports of up the ante as far as the ability, what's needed, and therefore it's make the decision, commit, and if you want to be an elite player, you have to commit fully to it. And while this has been happening, Toronto are doing just what they've got to do. The fly ball to left field and now a foul fly to first, and this is all Toronto need to do. They just need to stay in the game now, and they've got Tom Holland probably over there getting ready to warm up, a young 18-year-old New South Wales country boy, unlucky probably not to make the Australian under-18 team, so they've still got Tom to finish the game for them, and I doubt if Belmont have got much left to come out of the pen now. They've run through their numbers, so they'll just be punching along, and Toronto, as I said, they've still got Tom Holland and others if needed. So I think it's Toronto certainly in a very, very strong position.
Yeah, in the box seat, they certainly are. And you're speaking about young Tom Holland. I mean, he comes from a very good pedigree. Of course, his dad and his grandfather as well. And as we know, the community of Newcastle have been getting well and truly behind, Dutchy Holland with his brain tumour and stuff. And they, I think it was the Toronto Workers Club last night. They had a big night for him, didn't they?
Yes, this is the Newcastle way, of course. We are a city, but we're also small enough that our elite sportsmen are recognised in, and Dutchy, of course, is well loved as for the things that he did. The oldest Test player, his ear, and so on, and the fact that he beat the West Indies, in Sydney, and won a Test in Lords. So, and the nature of the man himself is just a wonderful. I've known him because he's my vintage, of course. Played cricket against him, and my grandsons have grown up playing with him. My son grew up and played with his son, so it's just been an experience to know the Hollands, and I'm just hoping, like everyone else is, that don't you battles through it?
Yes, we certainly do. When lots of support and lots of thoughts going out to the Holland family here today. Now, getting back to this game, John. I mean, it's pretty simple for Belmont, isn't it? They've just got to try and score some runs somewhere, haven't they?
Well, they just, they've got a runner on with a fumble at shortstop. Okay, the Cadam will just keep the ball at this stage. You just keep the ball down and try and get ground ball out. Just throw. His job is always just to throw strikes, but now with such a big lead, he just needs to keep the ball in play, give his fielders a chance to make it the outs for him. If he gives away a run or two now, it doesn't matter. The important thing for him now is just count the outs, don't count the runs. The 12-run lead, the 1 or 2 runs here, and the fielders will play that way. They won't be worrying about the runners scoring. They won't be throwing home. They'll just be taking the simplest out wherever it is. And if they give up a run or 2, they won't care. They'll just be looking to get 3 outs each innings and be done with it.
Yes, I guess for Toronto, it's just a matter of now just keeping the game as simple as they possibly can. Don't try and do anything that you wouldn't normally do. It's just a matter of you've got, I guess, you've got the advantage over Belmont right now, and as I said before, they're well and truly in the box seat, so they don't have to do anything out of the ordinary, do they?
No, they'll just take the simple outs, and if that costs them a run, so be it. They won't care. They'll think they've got enough firepower in their lineup anyway, and with a 12-run lead, if they give away a run or 2, it won't really matter.
We're talking to Shane earlier on, and we're having a chat to him about the fact that Toronto have never won, and I was talking to him about what this would mean to them. So, what would this win today mean to the Toronto club?
Well, I think it's not just a Toronto club. I'm looking around in the crowd, and there's a lot of people here wearing Toronto gear and so on that aren't regular baseball goers, that are Toronto people who have lived some of the journey. Maybe they only become fans once a year, but they're all aware that Toronto have never won and been in this position where they've played in grand finals on numerous occasions, normally against Belmont, and Belmont have had their measures. So I can just imagine at the end of the game there could be some serious celebrating done if Toronto can hang on. Now, I think we'll see here, I don't think they're not going to hold the runner at first. I don't care if he steals. Simply, they don't bother holding the runner on, simply so the fielder's got more range. If you're standing on the base holding the runner, then of course your range is limited, whereas if you're standing back, you don't care if he runs, you just, I'll field anything I can reach. That's the rule. Because that's just another dig that goes down there, another 3 outs, and it just makes the task harder and harder.
I was just about to say that it's a huge mountain to climb now for Belmont, isn't it? It's getting to that stage where it's going to have to, I guess, be a miracle now, doesn't it?
I think it's past that, because I mean Toronto ain't going to ease up. They've got if they're in the top probably 10 or 12 hitters in Newcastle, they've probably got 5 of them, and they're all here together, and they're all showing today why they are the best hitters. Their number 1 hitters, the Manaroas and the Mars and the Mickey Campbells and them, have all had multiple hit games, and not just that, hitting the ball a long way. And then they're not going to stop. They're going to keep swinging hard. I mean, 20 mightn't be the end either.
So, if you're in Belmont's situation right now, what do you do here? What's your main aim? Obviously, to try and get as many outs as quickly as possible and get back in again. You don't want this innings to go too long, do you?
Well, you do what Toronto do. You don't try and be fancy and try for the miracle double play. Make sure you just get 3 outs. Just get the outs. That's the stage you're at. You want to limit the damage. You might have to tip your cap at the end of the game, and so we walked in. I mean, here we are now. We're about to see Mickey Campbell in the batter's box. Leading hitter with the Blue Sox last year. In my opinion, probably the best hitter in Newcastle. His ability to hit the ball in any direction and run. He's just a terrific lead-off hitter, Mick. Here they're up again.
I was talking to Shane earlier just in regards to baseball generally, particularly here in Newcastle and I guess around the country as well. It's in a pretty good place at the moment, isn't it?
Well, The boys' results in Thunder Bay, the under-18 team went over there as rated 8th in the world and came home rated 5th. So all of that counts in the scheme of things towards Olympic qualification and so on. So our senior team are up in that level as well, and the top 8 teams play in the Olympics. So the first objective for Australian baseball now is to get our senior team into the Olympics, and the results for all age groups count. So the results from the boys and that's the thing that should inspire people to think, well, if I play this game, I can travel the world. I can play if I'm good enough. You get picked up. You can go to college in America. Most of the boys are looking at that I was away with, sort of watching them. They're all thinking of college, going to American colleges, with the hope that they'll progress to a major league career, or else they'll play serious college baseball and come home with a degree. And if you've got that sort of ability,
yeah, and it, as you say, it opens up so many opportunities, particularly for younger players coming through the ranks in baseball. And I guess the other thing too is it's a huge attraction for young players too to know that going overseas there may be some more opportunities for them down the track if Australia becomes very successful.
Well, the elite program for boys, teenage boys at the moment is the national championships in each year, 16s and 18s. The 13s, 15s and 17s teams that qualify to go to America and play in the championships there. And then from the 18s age group, the kids that get invited to go to Florida for the Major League Academy that's held there, where all the Major League professional scouts and all the clubs are represented. So, the opportunities just go on and on. But while we've been talking, here we go again with Toronto with first and second and only one out, and Manaroa that's already in a grand slam, and he's probably batted in, without knowing for sure, he's probably batted in 6 or 7 runners already, and a chance to pick up a few more.
And the one thing that we have noticed today when we were doing the commentary earlier on is that Toronto, they're just a team of clean hitters, aren't they? I mean, just amazing the amount of clean hits we've seen just from Toronto today. Generally, certainly a lot cleaner than what Belmont have had to offer today.
Yeah, Belmont were favoured early by some wayward pitching from the academy. Walked a few in the first innings and got off to a 4-0 start, which to most teams will be demoralising. They'll be behind 4-0 in the first innings. Would be a major. To Toronto's credit, they just came out and they just swung the bat. They weren't worrying about walks. There was just a succession of hard hit balls by their best hitters, and as you know, they got back to 4-all. Toronto took it to 7. They got straight back to 7-all, and they've just kept it going. And here they are again with another run in. And Belmont will be stopping this onslaught, stemming the damage. That's the best they can do now.
Yeah, because I think it's fair to say that I think Toronto have had most of the momentum in this game today, and as you said, they were down 4-0. And then Toronto came in and levelled it up, and that would have been a bit of a psychological blow for Belmont too. Absolutely,
and then Belmont, to their credit, got it straight out to 7-4, and Toronto came straight back in 7-all. So then it became just a slugfest. Everyone could see it was going to be a hitter's day, and of course Toronto they've just got more firepower.
And 2-13 brings Pat Mott across the plates.
Yeah, it's just amazing the clean hitting that we've seen from Toronto today. I think it's really made the difference, and Belmont they've just been struggling to. I guess they've been chasing their tail for most of the game, really. And when you're in that situation in a grand final, you've got to come up with something special, haven't you? And at this point, they're just not really coming up with that special thing, are they?
Well, the thing about it is Toronto have been in the position in grand finals where they never won one. There's no way in the world they're going to ease up. They've scored 22 already. They won't care. They won't care if they score more. This is not a I'll take pity on the opposition. This is we've waited this long. We're not going to give them a chance.
Now, John, we were also joined by, I think it was Liz, wasn't it, Liz? And she would like to just give us a bit of an insight into women's baseball and how it's all going. So if you wouldn't mind just passing your microphone over there just very quickly, we'll come back to you, John, very shortly. Liz, thank you so much for coming on Bar TV this afternoon. This is really a fantastic game, and looks like Toronto, heading towards their first ever win, a historic win today. Women's baseball. Can you just tell us a little bit how that's been going just lately?
Sure. So the game of women's baseball is really coming into its own in the last couple of years. I've been playing baseball for 20 years now, but when I first started, you had to play in the men's competition as a junior at that age. But since then, the women have their own competition now that we play at the state level. From the state level competition, the Australian team is picked, and they then obviously represent Australia on the world stage. Yeah,
so how important it is, for the younger girls, when they're at school. Do you get a lot of girls from school just getting into the sport, and they sort of progress from there?
What you'd usually find is that from the school level, girls are even still told that girls play softball and boys play baseball. But what we're finding now is so many more opportunities for women at baseball and acceptance playing what's typically shown as a men's sport. And it's fantastic to see because the women and the girls can really hold their own.
So what's the future? If you had a crystal ball and you look 5 years down the track, where do you think women's baseball is going to be in this country as a whole, I guess you could say?
Well, what we'd really like to see would be that the women and girls can play at exactly the same level of competition that you see the boys. At the moment, the women in Sydney have a first grade and a second grade that play each week, just like the boys do, which is really fantastic to see, and there is certainly a very strong competition down there. Unfortunately, up here in Newcastle, we just don't have the numbers, so we find that we have to travel to Sydney if we do choose to play, but there's a lot of us that do.
So for our listeners and our viewers who are watching Bar TV this afternoon, and they're thinking about maybe getting into baseball, especially women's baseball, how can they do that in Newcastle?
The best way to do it would be to find out your local club. Your local club will have competition that will allow women to play, but you will probably find that you'll also be playing with and against men and boys, depending on your age. But the acceptance level is changing, and you're absolutely more than welcome to come play. And the more women that do play, then we will find ourselves with our own competition in time.
Yeah, and that's what you'd be building towards, having your own competition here in Newcastle, and that'd make it a lot easier to also attract more younger girls and more players to play here locally too.
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing that, particularly girls get to a certain age and they feel that, the boys and the men are a lot bigger and stronger and, can sometimes be a little bit scary. So, with the women's competition, you find that you're playing against your own, and yes, you do have some girls and women that are very, very strong competitively, but you'll find that the environment itself is actually quite nurturing. We like to see girls and women play, and we want to continue to see them do so. We don't like to see them lose out of the sport.
Absolutely. Well, Liz, thank you so much for joining us on Bar TV here this afternoon. We wish you all the best with women's baseball in Newcastle, and of course not just in Newcastle but right around Australia, and we look forward to seeing the sport grow and grow and grow over the years, and I'm sure with people like yourself and other girls involved in the sport, that will certainly do that.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Good on you, Liz. Thanks. We'll go back to John. All right, John, we better get back to this game here now. So Toronto are now 22 over Belmont 8. Yes, the mountain is getting higher and higher, isn't it?
Well, it is. Belmont are now just playing for pride, and they'll just be struggling to add on every run they can to make the score as respectable as they can make it. The game's gone. There's no way in the world that they can come back from this position. So with where we are at the bottom of the sixth. It's just academic to what Belmont can do. 2 or 3 runs at this stage of the game is nothing. Toronto just have to do what we said before, go through make sure they get the routine outs, don't do anything fancy, throw strikes. And McAdams got stronger as the game's got on, so he's kept them in the game now, and they just need to close it out now, just do the simple things properly.
As a Toronto player, how would you be feeling right now? If that was you out there, John, as a Toronto player, you've never won ever before, this is your first time, how would you be feeling right now?
Well, it's a team game, and I can imagine that in that dugout over there, they'd be very buoyant, but they'd also be conscious of the fact that let's get the job done. Let's do it. We're in this position. We've never been here before. We owe it to all our fans and all the loyal people that have played in this club for. They're probably in somewhere between 55 and 60 years of existence, or maybe even longer, without ever winning a first grade. So there's a lot of players that have passed through this club over the years that to them, the older players and players past and their families, this would be a big occasion. And I'm sure the players are fully aware that they carry that sort of responsibility. They owe it to the club. They've got themselves into this position now just to go through it and close it out and do the right.
Yeah, because I mean, every club, as you know, in any sport, it's just not just about the team; it's about the whole outlook and the whole organisation. And you know, there's obviously some people here today that have been a part of all this for a long time, and they've been waiting for this day for a long time, haven't they?
They've been waiting for it. They've been waiting for it to come. They've been waiting for it to come. As I said, there'd be 2 or 3 generations of families here that have never seen Toronto win. So for all of them, there's a very big moment. So they're coming up in about maybe 40 minutes' time. Now here we are, Toronto. Here we are with Belmont back at the top and with none down. So Belmont will think, well, we're in a position here to score some runs, and with all their best hitters starting to come up. And Toronto's role is simply to just get outs, just throw strikes, and don't worry about the runners, don't worry about giving up a run or two, just take whatever chances you can get. You get 3 outs to finish an innings. And one of the very good hitters from the Belmont club, Jace Pearl, he's rated in probably the top 6 or 7 in Newcastle, maybe in the top 5 even. He regularly gets bat on ball. He's not a guy that gets struck out a lot, and he's quite capable of still keeping it going. By having said that, he's probably going to drop that in there, and there's 2 bases.
Yeah, it was pretty clean hit, that one, wasn't it?
The Toronto, they just do the things right. They recover that ball quickly.
And as you said before, it's just the simple things that you got to do now. Just keep it simple for Toronto, and if they keep that up, they'll win this game, no problem whatsoever.
Well, there's a good example here. You've got first and third and none out, and I'll be surprised if Toronto are even interested in holding this runner at first base. They're going to concede a run if they have to make sure that all their fielders can make a play. As you can see there, first base was not even interested in the runner. Poole can steal if he wants to, because they're not interested in holding him on the bases. They're interested in the first baseman to be able to move around and maybe pick up a ground ball hit in his direction.
So what's the mentality now from Belmont in batting? What do they need to do? They obviously have to get runs. We understand that, but what's their mentality? Of course, not to get out and to try and make this innings go as long as possible.
Absolutely, they're just going to keep doing what they're doing now. They've just scored a run. There's no one out. First and second. Now, in the Toronto case, they may well be thinking, well, McAdams probably thrown a lot of pitches. Maybe it's time to start thinking about young Tom. I'd be surprised if Tom Holland's not up somewhere stretching and having a throw somewhere, just in case they don't particularly want the innings to go on and on. You can see what's happening. first and second, none out, run scored. I mean, Toronto, although they probably don't care, they certainly don't want the dig just to build up and to give anybody even some glimmer of hope. They just want the game to shut down.
Yeah. And I think for Belmont too, it's all about trying to fill the bases as much as they can, get opportunities, and don't get out. If they start getting out, it's all going to be downhill from there.
Well, I mean, these two guys at first and second.
Heads up! Heads up!
Their attitude is going to be if O'Gorman hits the ball hard to somebody, they're going to look at the easiest play they can make. They're not going to worry about the double plays unless it's just virtually give it to them. They're going to say, well, where's the easiest play that I can make to get one out in this innings? And if it means that the runners advance and they just get the hitter, so be it. As I said, they're just in the process now of trying to get three outs in innings.
So just talking about what's happened with Belmont now.
What we're seeing here now is they've just called a walk on the pitcher, which is, and they've taken the option. So the two runners have advanced on the balk, and O'Gorman will get a new bat, which he just broke his old bat, and he'll bat on now with the two runners. Now, if O'Gorman gets a safe hit here and scores these two runs, it makes it to 22 to 11, it's still none out. As I said, I won't be surprised if Tom Holland is starting to have a bit of a throw and limber up and say, look, you've done a great job. Maybe now's the time for a bit of a change. Having said that, as O'Gorman struck out, Chris Hook's one of the serious Belmont hitters. If ever they needed him to provide something, this would be a great opportunity with two runners sitting there and only one out. A hard hit ball into the outfield somewhere will certainly score one. If he gets a safe hit, well, he'll score the both of them. McAdam's trying to keep the ball down low, which is his style anyway. He's looking to get ground ball outs. He's not interested in getting the ball up so the guys can elevate and hit the ball higher into the outfield. He wants to get the ball down low so he can get the guys to swing down on the ball and hit the ball low, keep it in the infield. He's missed with two of those on the outside.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it's obviously important to get the direction right as well. If you can get that direction right, it's going to make it harder for the batter as well, isn't it?
Well, you can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to keep the ball down low. He also now needs to get it down into the strike zone over the plate. Having said that, there he goes, pop it up, and Mickey Campbell will catch that. They don't really care for runner scores. Get down. Anyway. But it doesn't matter. Two out, that's all they're interested in. Give up a run, who cares? That's two out, one more out will finish the dig for us. We're happy. Give up 2 runs, 3 outs, just sit on the lead where we are. It's still a 12-run lead. As I said, they just need to do simple things now. Catch the ball like Mick did then. If it gets a ground ball, just make the out at first. Don't do anything. You don't need to do anything extravagant or out of the order. Just do the simple things.
So the way things are going here, John, tonight is probably going to be a very big night here in Toronto. There's going to be a lot of celebrations going on, I would say.
It certainly will be, and I'm sure there'll be some nostalgia for the older players who think of all the years that they played, and in my time they were always a team of battlers. They struggled. They were never seriously competitive, but they were never not there. They were always had the numbers, they had the support of the community, and even if they weren't winning games, they'd front up every week, they'd front up every year. They would do all the things that they had to do You know, and they've stayed. Once they came into the grade, you know, they've been here, and now they've developed a club they've just won the second grade easily. They've got juniors. You know, they've done everything to build themselves into a powerhouse in the town, and now today they're going to finally reap the reward.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's what it's all about, building up over years. You know, your rosters and also your younger players, bringing them through as well. I mean, that's the success of any organisation, and obviously it's a long time between drinks, and to take this out today, it must be a very special feeling for the players in this team who will go down as the very first team in Toronto to win the baseball grand final, and to be that player and to be in that team. I mean, that's something special, and it's something the players won't ever forget, you know, down the track either.
Well, that's true. I mean, no matter whatever happens after this, if Toronto win 10 premierships in a row, the team that won the first one will always be special. And the players in that team should look on it that way. To think, well, I was a part of the team that made history for a proud club that's supported the game in Newcastle for so long, to have this special moment.
Just getting back to Belmont very quickly, obviously if they lose today's game, I mean, they've obviously been a powerhouse in baseball in Newcastle for a long time, and they wouldn't be used to this sort of thing, would they?
No, and I've spoken to several of the Belmont hardcore supporters that I've known for many years, and they just shrug their shoulders and say, well, you know, we've just got to take it on the chin. You know, we've been outplayed. The teams Toronto have been building to this, and here they are, and you know, we just tip our hat to them. And I was talking to both the Wells twins, of course, who are making big inroads into the Major League Baseball in America. They're both here today, and I was just talking to young Lachlan, and he just said, you just tip your hat to the better team. You know, you play the best you can. Here we are looking at Belmont scored 10 runs, which wins most games. Instead of that, they've just been on the receiving end of an absolute barrage from the Toronto hitters.
Yeah, I think it also goes to show, doesn't it, that having some really clean hitters in your team in this game, it does have some advantages for you, doesn't it? If you can have some players that can come to the plate and they can really hit the ball, and they're really clean with their hitting, it makes a difference, doesn't it? Really.
Well, the boy at the plate now, Nicholas Anderson-Vine, he's the leading hitter for the Australian under-18 team in Thunder Bay, and of course he's a New South Wales country player, so we were, from a New South Wales country point of view, 3 of the 4 best hitters for the Australian team in Thunder Bay were New South Wales country players. So the future of the game for us in the country is great. Who had struggled in first grade in Newcastle, and a lot of people said, wow, we see him regularly in the carnivals and we know what a good player he is, and when he got to Thunder Bay, he just proved that he played beautiful outfield and hit the ball regularly. And here we are again, we're talking Toronto set up again, they're back to Campbell again, there's no one out. I mean, this is just the Toronto way at the moment.
And obviously a bit of communication in the outfield helps as well. I mean, we had a bit of I guess miscommunication there as well with the Belmont players, and I guess it just gets to a stage now where they're just going to try anything to try and change this game around. But as you say, it looks as though the horse is well and truly bolted anyway.
Yeah, they're probably making mistakes now that they don't normally make, simply because they're just under this relentless pressure from the Toronto hitters, and I doubt that there's too many of these Belmont first graders have played in the game where someone scored 22 runs against them. This would be a foreign experience to most, if not all, of these Belmont hitters. So they've just got to live with it. They're probably making mistakes that they wouldn't make. But having said that, as you correctly pointed out, there's been a lot of good hits by the Toronto play. Belmont haven't done too much wrong in the field. There's just been a barrage of clean, hard hits by the Toronto good hitters. As I said, we're back to Mick, who's one of the Mickey Campbell, who's probably he'll set the stage again. I'll be amazed if Mick can't cause a bit of damage here with no one out.
So the season as a whole, John, it's been a success this year again for Newcastle baseball.
Yeah, I think our biggest problem is that the top three teams have been competitive. We need more first grade baseballers. We need another stronger club. We've got a 5-team competition, and we've got 50-odd teams playing baseball right through the grades. And the lower grades, where there's a lot of social baseball played, the game's never been stronger. But at this elite level, we just need more elite players to play in the town. And as we've been talking, Mick's just caused havoc again with another 2 runs. There's still no one out now. We've got the Manarowas and that. I said it's just relentless with these Toronto guys. They've put together a great hitting team, and we're seeing it on display today.
So what's the game need to do, do you think, in your opinion, to attract newer players to baseball in this area? What are the most important things that need to be done, I suppose, on a grassroots level as well?
Well, I think that what's happening is our junior base is really strengthening. There's a lot of effort being put into Zuka ball and things like that. Our junior numbers are increasing. For the last couple of years, our numbers have gone up and up, and that's where it starts. I mean, there's an argument that said we would like the Central Coast and us to amalgamate and play with their. They've got 4 teams, I think, in their comp. If they join with us or we join with them, we could put together a serious competition. But that discussion's been going on for a while. I hope it comes to fruition, but it hasn't happened yet. So we've got to build from the bottom. We've got to build from the junior base and from our 13s, 15s, and certainly, and the children that try out the game at a younger level, we need to keep them in. And you just heard them say then about the girls' baseball and the women's baseball. Zuka baseball, they can all play. And we just need to keep those numbers still interested in the game 10 years after they start.
Yeah, and I think it's all about the attraction to try and get the younger generation to come through, and also I think participation is also very important, not just in baseball but other sports right around Australia. That if you have high participation levels, there's a big chance that the players will actually remain playing baseball or other sports as well. So that's a big challenge that I think we all face, don't we?
Well, we do. I mean, there's so much to do for our younger people these days, and they don't necessarily have to play sport. So to keep them in the game is one thing, and to keep them. And the other thing, the game at the elite level is a numbers game. If you've got enough numbers, you'll have somebody who can play.
That's an outstanding catch there, John.
Probably Rob Manarowa get another hit. Boss, so he can still smile about it. He's had a reasonable day at the plate. He's probably batted in 5 or 6, probably more than that. So I guess you can forgive him if he gets out of finery.
Yeah, but you look at for those of the who are in at the moment, watching our telecast, and you see things like this on the replay here. I mean, there's a lot of skill in this game, isn't there? You've got to be a fairly skillful player when you're out in the outfield for sure.
Well, there used to be the children or kids rule, but the kids that were the least skillful, you stuck them in the outfield. But of course, that's a bit of a fallacy, because that's when you're out there, that's where all the action happens. If you make a mistake out there, you've got no one to help you. If you miss one in the infield, maybe the fellas in the outfield can come in and pick the ball up. And if you miss it in the outfield, it's a lonely place out there when you've got to get up and chase it.
Now back to the game again here, John. It's now 25-10, so the margin is getting further and further away, isn't it?
Yeah. And it'll be the mercy rule will come into effect, the 10-run lead in 7 innings, and ensure that we're getting very close to that point now.
So what are the players? Some of the players. What do they do when they're not playing baseball? I guess with a lot of different personalities in every team. What do some of the players do to keep themselves in check and keep themselves nice and fit? When they're not playing baseball at all.
Well, a lot of these players, it's almost a 12 months of the year game. I'm sure the Manaroas and the Campbells and those guys are gearing up for the semi-pro comp in Australia, the Sydney Blue Sox. Boss Manaroa played with the Cavalry in Canberra last year, and I'm aware that the Sydney Blue Sox are interested in asking him to come back and play in Sydney. Mickey Campbell played in the Blue Sox, and I'm sure he's going to play again. A lot of the other guys played grade baseball in Sydney, in the Sydney first grade or whatever grade competition. So, and some of them just do nothing. Just keep fit and take the break. I suppose the older you get, the more you appreciate the breaks, and the younger guys probably stick at it. The family guys do what they've got to do, but there's certainly a whole group of people that are 12 months of the year players. They're great players in either Sydney or the Central Coast, and they're great players here in Newcastle in the winter.
And I think you're right when it comes to taking breaks. I mean, I think in every sport you've got to have that break away just to take stock, just refresh, and I guess just get away from the game itself and then try and get your focus back on when you're back playing. So and I think every sport's pretty much the same, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, it is, and in fact they encourage people these days to take a break, the game, particularly the younger players, they like them to take a break and even go and play another sport, go and use some other muscles, go and do play a sport where you'll be more active, doing something different, so you instead of just repetitions to you throwing a ball or swinging a bat, you try and do something different while you're still growing and your body's settling down.
With this looming loss, I guess, for Belmont today, what sort of psychological effects will that have maybe for next season going forward? I mean, does it really work that way in baseball, or is it just season by season?
Oh, well, they've had a bad day in the second grade as well, which they probably weren't ready for. They probably played the worst game they've played for years in the second grade, and so they'll have to take stock and think, well, hang on, what have we got in our second grade that was going to come up and play first grade, and where are we? And they're a serious club, and they haven't been as successful as they have been all these years, without knowing what they're doing and doing it properly. They're probably the benchmark for how things are done. So I'm sure, like all losses, they'll take this, particularly this one, because it's such a big loss. But they'll think about it. They'll work out what they've got to do, whether it's a recruitment program or whether they push some of their juniors a bit more quickly to advance, and whether they build a team. I mean, the club that I come from, the Phoenix Club, we embarked on a youth program some years ago, and we're able to see the rewards. We did the competition for the first 9 games, and at one stage we finished a game with the entire infield at 17 years and under. So we were. For us, that's the way of the future. To just live with our young players, and for them to take us as far as they can.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, a loss can be a positive as well, because you can get sort of a little bit stale in your structures and how you play the game, and you get a bit comfortable in what you're doing as well, and then all of a sudden one day it comes that you play a grand final, it doesn't go your way, and as you say, then you've got to go, okay, where are the areas that we probably need to improve on? Where are the areas that we fell over from last season, and maybe take that into the next season?
What we're talking here, the game's just about we're in the 7th inning, so the 10-run rule will come in, and you saw that it was just a simple example of the ball hit the first base. They had no interest in the runner that was on the bases. They don't care if somebody scores here now, they're just interested in closing this game out. The runner will score here, but they don't care. They'll just make sure they get the outs.
So what have we got? We've got two outs left now. That's what we've got here.
And a run scored. So it's just the second 7 innings run, the 10-run Mercy rules. We got 2 outs, so they're one out away from finishing this game off. And then I can imagine there'll be some serious celebrating noise. Now, we may well see Holland come on here. Just see what happens. The coach has come out. He's talking to McAdam. Say, what do you want to do? Son, you want to go off? I'd say Tom Holland's about to win the game.
And he certainly is, yes.
Tom Holland will come on, and unlike McAdam, he'll throw the ball. He won't be looking for throw splitters, and he'll throw the ball hard, and he'll throw a change up. So we'll see the pitches come down. It'll all look the same, but they'll just come at different speeds.
So in a nutshell, really, all we're waiting for is just one more out, and that's it. The celebrations will start here at in the Toronto camp. They'll be looking forward to that.
I'm sure that's about to happen. The same thing, the same rule. They won't really care who scores. Giving a couple of runs at this stage is nothing. They just want Tommy. I think they probably could have relied on McAdam to finish it. They've acknowledged the fact that Tom's helped them and got them this far by pitching some serious games. So they've given Tom the opportunity to share the moment with the team, and good luck to them. That's good of them to do that. They're pointing out that Tom's been part of the team, so when Tom come and close it out for us. So.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, John, I mean, this is going to be a very emotional victory for Toronto, as we know with what's happening with the Holland family at the moment, as you would know as much as all our viewers who are watching Bar TV's coverage this afternoon of the grand final. And you know, this next out, the emotion is just going to be flowing here. We can just see it. It's just going to be one of those special moments, I guess, in Newcastle baseball, isn't it?
It certainly is. So I guess if the sound effects will probably pick it up. So Tom will throw the ball hard, and he does throw a curve, which we'll pick from here. But his best pitch is the one that he just changes the speed of. Looks the same, but it just comes down a lot slower, and guys swing over the top of it.
That's 2 strikes there.
Yeah, he just blown 2 straight past him. He may well decide, well, I'll just finish this with another hard throw and fastball.
And there it is, John. It's all over. Toronto victors in the 2017 baseball season here in Newcastle. And as you can understand, and as you can see on your screens, watching the coverage here this afternoon, it's an historic victory for the Toronto team over Belmont. And it's fair to say, John, all afternoon they really have deserved their win. They've just been the better team, haven't they?
Well, it's a big occasion when you're playing a grand final and you give up 4 runs in the first innings and fight straight back. I mean, plenty of games, you can't win the game in the first innings, but you can certainly lose it. And against a team like Belmont, to give them a 4-run start is just an incredible thing. They fight straight back and make it 4-all. For Belmont then to break away again and make it 7, and for Toronto to come back at 7-all. You could almost sense that the day of destiny was getting close, that they'd come back twice, and from then on, they've just done what we expected. As you can see, there's Joe Manaroa, the president of the Toronto club, the father of the Manaroa boys,
And I mean, you know, you look at Belmont. Commiserations to them. I mean, they've come here today, and they would have really thought their chances were quite good. And I mean, they've had a good season. I mean, if you make the grand final, you've had a good season, haven't you?
Well, they expect to make the grand final year after year, and they do. And they probably think, well, history weighs down on Toronto's shoulders, so we've got an advantage. That as the game worked out, you saw that Toronto were just a better hitting lineup. They batted all the way from 1 to 9. The celebrations are about to see.
Yes, we've got the beer flowing now, haven't we?
We have indeed.
It's one of the great things about sport, John, isn't it? I mean, you get to a culmination of a season, and you know, there are instances where the underdog might win the grand final or whatever the case may be, but to win your first ever, I mean today will always be a special day for the Toronto club, and they'll always look back on this day with a lot of fond memories, won't they?
Absolutely, and the people that are here, you know, and the loyal Toronto people that have waited for so long in this, and there's a whole lot of them, and special thoughts to the Hudson family who've been around this club and been the canteen workers and the supporters, to their whole family. For them to be here on this day is just a marvellous moment for the club, and good luck to them. You know, I mean, I've seen people here that I've known in the game for over 50 years, and I'm sure there's a tear or two over there amongst some of those older teammates or older opponents of mine who've waited so long for this very moment.
And I must say there'll certainly be a few extra lights on in Toronto tonight, John, and I think we'll probably, for residents in Newcastle, we'll probably hear the cheers and all the celebrations from wherever we live in Newcastle. It's just going to be a huge night, isn't it? It
is indeed. Now, and I mean, you can just look at the scenes here, and that's only the start of it. I mean, it's hard to say what the players are thinking at the moment now. It's probably relief that they got the job done. That'll be the thing, that they've known they've put together a good team. They've tried for a couple of years and got close, and they probably thought, even in that first innings, we're down 4 already, that they just had faith in each other, had faith in their structure, and thought, well, this is our year, nothing's going to take it away from us, and that's what's happened. They've come out on top, the best hitting team, and they've proved it here today.
Yeah, and I think, as I was saying earlier on too, that it's just the little things in games like this that make the most. And when the little things go your way, it just makes it a lot easier. And I think for today for Belmont, maybe the little things just didn't go their way, and they were really just behind the 8 ball for most of that game, and it just makes it very hard to sort of catch up, doesn't it?
Well, Belmont didn't do too much wrong. They didn't make too many mistakes. They just walked into a barrage of hits by the elite Toronto hitters. The best, as I said, they got some of the best hitters, or most of the best hitters in the town. And today, they just collectively, they all put it together, and you saw the results. I mean, and I wouldn't single out any of them, except probably Boss Manaroa, with all those other guys on bases in front of him, just continued to pile on the runs batted in, including a grand slam. So, I mean, it's just baseball's a team effort, and they've had 9 players that contributed here today with the bat, and McAdam's done a good job on the mound. He's given up 7 runs in the first 2 innings, and battled his way through, took a deep breath, and kept punching away. And at the end of the day, 7 in the first. Belmont have scored 11 total in the game, whereas Toronto just kept piling it on.
And I think, as we see as the coverage here too, John, I mean, we've got some of the older guys that have obviously been part of the club for a long time as well, and they were probably thinking, will this day ever come? And now they're actually standing there, being part of history as well, and for them, I mean, this is also going to be very special for them too, isn't it?
It is. And I think I'm probably going to have to go and present this trophy that's been named in my family's honour for the first time. The trophy's actually replaces a trophy that was in 1948. So I mean, it's a wonderful gesture by the association, but what a wonderful trophy that's existed since 1948.
Yeah. Okay, mate, we'll let you go, John. So thank you so much for being part of our Bar TV coverage today. I know that you've got to go and present this trophy. It's been an absolute honour to talk to you, and congratulations to Newcastle Baseball on another great season and culminating here with a historic win to the Toronto club.
Yeah, and my privilege, and I've enjoyed every minute of it, and I hope the people watching have got an insight into what it means to a club that's been in existence for so long to finally break through.
Thank you, John. There he is, John Wingrove, being part of Newcastle Baseball for many, many years, and it's just wonderful to catch up with people with that much experience and wealth of knowledge as well to be able to join us here on Bar TV's coverage today. And there you can see on our screen at the moment we've got all the trophies, and it just is going to be very, very special for the Toronto club here to receive the trophy. I guess they've been yearning for such a long time, and commiserations to the Belmont club. They've been a powerhouse in Newcastle baseball for a long, long time, and I'm sure there'll be good days for them coming up in the next few years as well. And I think that's very important. And as you can see on the screen there, the players are just waiting for the presentations now, and it's just been wonderful. And for me myself, I mean, I must say that I haven't been to a lot of baseball games, but to be able to get the opportunity to come here and be a part of the Bar TV team, and I do thank all the team for inviting me to come here and to have Shane and also Liz, who joined us in the coverage earlier on to give us their expert coverage advice on the game itself and how the game was playing out was absolutely tremendous as well. And congratulations to everybody involved in Newcastle baseball. They must be very proud of that as well. And we hope that next season we can come back and maybe cover the baseball again. It's been a real I guess an eye opener for me just to sit here and see the action live and see the pitches and the pace of the pitches and the skills of some of the players has just been outstanding, and some of the clean hitting from the Toronto club today has just been unbelievable, and it was nice to be here to witness it as well. So now we're going to have the presentations, obviously for the winners and also for the losers as well, and we hope that you enjoyed our coverage today, and thanks to our contributors who have been here. To Shane, to Liz, and also to John for caping along and being here and being part of such a very historical day. And once again, congratulations to Toronto. There's going to be lots and lots of celebrations happening tonight in Toronto. So maybe Toronto might be the place to be tonight to join the Toronto Baseball Club in their celebrations, winning their very first grand final. That is just amazing, and to be here myself has been incredible as well. On behalf of the Bar TV team, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. And as I said before, we look forward to maybe hopefully covering a bit of baseball when the season kicks off again. And it's been an absolute pleasure. This has been Pete Davis for Bar TV. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we hope to catch you here once again. Thank you very much.
Newcastle Senior Rate representative player 2017, Christopher Hook. Not only is it just individual teams competing during our competition during 2017, all grades get a chance to participate in the club championship. With points awarded for victories in first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth and sixth grade. The more wins you have in the higher grades, obviously the more points you receive. Club champions of 2017, Belmont Baseball Club. Earlier on we announced the representative, under 19, most valuable player, is Joshua Riggrove. Unfortunately, Joshua can't be here today, so we'll ask Rickson to come up on his behalf and collect it. I'm sure Rickson will certainly pass it on to him. Another award to give away in first grade. Batting, if you have a look at the website, it was very close the last 2 to 3 weeks. The eventual winner. Ladies and gentlemen, the most valuable player in first grade, the trophy that we had has existed since 1948. It was called the Jim Dickinson Shield, and it was originally a best and fairest player, which translated into an MVP award. For those people who don't know, I'm sure no one remembers 1948 or something. Jim Dickinson was a representative cricket player and a representative baseball player and died in the very early age of his 20s. And our association has recognised that trophy since 1948. The life members of this association, behind my back, got together and said that that trophy needed to be retired and they would organise a new trophy to commemorate the achievements of my family. In 1929, when my father started as a regional member, myself, my son, and now my 2 grandsons. So, I thank the Baseball Association for the honour of having the new MVP first grade trophy called the Window Family Children. The original winner, 2017, is Pat Martin. Ladies and gentlemen, talking about most valuable players, very difficult job this afternoon to pick the most valuable player for the grand final for first grade. I guess everyone will have to agree it was a hitting game, so whoever hit the most runs or made the most impact with the hitting. Today, Marco Monterey. He's shy as well. Last year, our major Premier's Trophy was inaugurated as the Lambert Lewis Cup. We're honoured this year to have Lambert Lewis here with us to present it. First of all, I'd ask Justin to come forward, please, say a few words and introduce his team.
Firstly, I'd like to thank my club, Toronto, for on a fantastic grand final day. The atmosphere and everything we've done behind the scenes throughout the years, well deserved, and from the turning up and from all the supporters, thank you very much. Well up here, I'd like to thank Belmont. It's unfortunate you guys couldn't go 10 in a row. You've been fantastic, obviously for the last 27 years. You've been fantastic for the last 9 years. Our rivalry is something I cherish. I love playing with you guys. I also hate playing against you guys. And I tip your cap to you. And to be honest, I'm glad that we finally got one after 69 years. You guys will support me. There's no better rivalry than what we've got at the moment. And we love beating each other, that's support we turn up all every year. So thank you guys. Whitey, good luck in retirement. I'm glad you're retiring. You've been fantastic for Belmont. You've been fantastic for a lot of the guys on the outside who played against you for many years. Appreciate what you've done for yourself and for Belmont and for every team you played for that. Have a good time. To my guys, I'll keep it brief. 69 years, it's a hell of a way, but we finally got there. Congratulations, boys. Michael Campbell.
I'll make it quick so you guys can get back and enjoy yourselves. To my blokes, 9 years in a row is pretty special. Congratulations to Toronto. You guys had a fantastic season in first grade and second grade. Congratulations to Normo and Walesy. Fellas, it just means now that we're going to go off and work a little bit harder, and we're going to come back next year and try and get back in there again. 1 in 69, congratulations. Have fun tonight, fellas.
So the 69-year-old question is, who are the major premiers? Toronto! Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes season 2017. We look forward to seeing you in 2018. Thank you to each and every person that's turned up today. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Come back next year refreshed and ready to go again. Thank you.